Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome to a wild Monday. Hoop Spaces, plenty of news to go around, just breaking everywhere. WNBA recap, KD trade news. What is going on in the NBA? Is there going to be a 16 2K trade? What are we looking at? Lots to get to. Shout out to all the people who've been here before and continue to come in. We appreciate it. I see TJ, Rico Suave in the building. What's up, wise guys? Been a minute. I see Xavier in the building. Hey, it's real simple. I'm going to get the tweet up in a second. We're going to get into it. Lots to get to. I'll be back. Appreciate it. Good morning. All right. What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning. Let's go ahead and get into it. I actually had to scrap pretty much the entire show simply because KD decided to say, I want to go to Boston, apparently. A long time trade request, a lot of nothing coming out. And now all of a sudden we have movement, ladies and gentlemen. That is right. The Celtics are engaged with the Nets on a KD Jaylen Brown based trade. We'll get into that. The Suns have re upped Coach Monty Williams. Uh, Barkley may be leaving NBA today to go to live golf. A whole bunch to get to, including the WNBA recap. Fantastic games going on across the weekend, including a future Hall of Famer breaking a milestone over 7,000 points scored in her career. We got that going up here. Give us a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, as we let the room build up. It's always a great day to talk basketball. But if you can't talk, if you look at the bottom right, there's a group chat that you can hop in there. Plenty of people in, getting ready to say good morning myself. Man, I am still like catching up on these DMs about this trade. All right. We'll start off with that. The Boston Celtics are among teams to have engaged the Brooklyn Nets on a possible Kevin Durant deal. Adrian Wojnarowski put this out like at 2:30 in the morning because he didn't want to get scooped by Shams, who put out the story this morning. Apparently, centered around Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, or Derek White, and a first round pick. The Nets said no, but apparently have sent a counter. And the question is, what is in that counter? If you want to go ahead and come on up, we will get ready to start the WNBA recap. First, we will start back with Friday night's games, ladies and gentlemen. The Connecticut Sun defeated the Minnesota Lynx 94-84. The Chicago Sky beat the Dallas Wings 89-83. The Phoenix Mercury defeated the Storm 94-78. And that was probably the Phoenix Mercury's best game they've played all season. We also have on Saturday the Chicago Sky falling to the New York Liberty. The Liberty really needed that win, 83-80 behind Sabrina Ionescu's and one. Man, that was a phenomenal game if you didn't watch it. The Sparks lose to the Aces. And when I mean lose, I mean they lost 84-66. The first quarter was entertaining and competitive. That was it. Everything else was nada for the Sparks. And then yesterday, we had some great games. The Wings beat the Fever. That wasn't a great game. Kelsey Mitchell had one, though, 34-5-6 in the loss, 96-86 Wings over the Fever. But Tina Charles went off for 27 and 15, 4 for 7 from deep, including a record tying or NBA history three-pointer, 7,000 points in her career. And the Connecticut Sun beat the Minnesota Lynx 86-79. there you go for the WNBA update. 808s and Snack Breaks will be up in a moment when he can come back to get some more time, and we'll talk some W. If you also want to hop up and talk W, now is the time. I did ask a question in regards to the Seattle Storm. Are the Seattle Storm, with Tina Charles starting to integrate in, a legit WNBA Finals contender? I want to get your thoughts on that, so I'll put the poll up. And there we go. News out of the NBA that is not Kevin Durant related, beyond the contract extension for Monty Williams. We'll get into that. 6 teams have joined the Knicks in pursuit of Donovan Mitchell. It's amazing how it seems to get growing every day. The Atlanta Hawks, Charlotte Hornets, the Sacramento Kings, the Miami Heat, the Toronto Raptors, and the Washington Wizards have all contacted Utah in regards to making a trade for Donovan Mitchell. And the Jazz are now really kicking it into high gear, trying to get as many draft picks as possible. So you have that we're going to end up getting to. The Pacers, Knicks, and Jazz have also talked about deals for Russell Westbrook and draft picks, ladies and gentlemen. The Pacers have already rebuffed a potential deal with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for Russell Westbrook, as it is reported they want more than one draft pick. They want all of the Los Angeles' available future first round. That would give the Indiana Pacers a $47 million expiring contract as well to get off their books at the end of the season. The Rockets and Kevin Porter Jr. have expressed mutual interest in a contract extension. This was actually questionable because going into the draft, many people were wondering if the Rockets weren't going to land Paolo Banchero, if they were going to pick up Jaden Ivey. They went ahead and drafted Jabari Smith. We are looking somewhere as much as 18 to 22 is what's been going around. The Cavs have offered Colin Sexton a 3-year deal. He is on a qualifying offer that will pay him up to 8.6. The offer is believed to be in 3 years, $40 million range, and that is definitely below what Colin Sexton was hoping to get. He was hoping to get at least $20 million per. Many people prior to the injury had him pegged from 18 to 22 million. Bam Adebayo states that he will be the defensive player of the year this year, also saying that he believes that he should have won it the last 2 seasons. And then following up, DeJounte Murray. Trae Young wanted me as bad as I wanted to go over there to help. That is a great conversation and a great piece by Michael Scotto. I'll get that up there as well. All right. I see Justin Fit is in the building. Cedric is in the building. Saint from Nets Kingdom. TJ, Snag, Aussie, Edwin. All right. Not much else to get to. We're going to break down this trade. We've got, you're not coming up, bro. All right, there you go. That is killer on your profile. My first initial reactions, this is a market-determined trade. Kevin Durant came out and stated the trade, listed Phoenix as the top destination. Brooklyn immediately went into a kind of a subjective mode where they said, well, if you want Kevin Durant, we're going to require Devin Booker to be in return. The Suns balked at that, obviously. They sent a package, a couple of packages. One centered around a sign-and trade with DeAndre Ayton. The other one centered around Mikal Bridges, Thomas, a couple other young players, and multiple picks. Brooklyn said no to that. Golden State had reached out to Brooklyn to see the feasibility of a potential trade, and we have seen what has happened there. Lacob came out and said, you know what, I like where we're at, not wanting to give up any of the likes of Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, or James Wiseman, along with Andrew Wiggins. Philadelphia made a couple of inroads with both Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris, reaching out, and that trade package would have been centered around Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, and multiple picks. We also have the Miami Heat involved. And what Brooklyn said to Miami apparently was, if Bam Adebayo is not in it, we don't want it. They turned down a potential offer, and this is potential of what I heard. Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and a whole bunch of cap filler. So they said no thank you to that. Also, New York is the square favorite to land Donovan Mitchell. In fact, many reports through New York social media with people who follow the Knicks, constantly, have put this anywhere between 90 and 99%. Up on stage, we have Cedric Shine. He'll give his thoughts on this KD stunning news to open up our Monday morning, as well as anything else he wants to pop in because the dude is dope. What's up, Ced? How you doing?
Hey, peace to the room. Hey, Chris, this is my question, right?
Yeah.
And I got nothing but love for KD. But the market has shown that they're not willing to give up nothing for KD like that, right? Like, I mean, this Boston deal, I think Mark's got to jump on that. Nobody wants to give up anything of real value for KD. And I think it's because they've seen it over the last couple of years. Homie be injured. We don't talk about it. We call Anthony Davis, day-to-day Davis, all that, but we don't talk about KD's injury. So I just think it's fascinating when we talk about the market and market value. We're talking about KD and we're saying you got to back up the Brinks truck, right? But nobody's doing it. Like Masai Ujiri was like, nah, you can't get Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, what's really funny is that there's a chart. It's called the predicated trade value chart, or there's different names and different organizations. And on this chart, every NBA player on every team is listed with an assigned value. That assigned value is placed not now by the scouts, but usually by the research department. And there is a clear inherent age and contract bias. Once you hit X amount of age, once your contract is hit, your value actually starts to decline. And I think what we see is the steal that the Jazz got with the Gobert trade has now shifted everybody's value chart. And now we're at this position looking at a new CBA where the likes of Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett and Tyler Hero hold a higher predicated value because they're on the end of the rookie deals and they are top producing rookies, for RJ and Tyler Hero. Scotty Barnes, because he's on his rookie deal and projects to be a fantastic NBA player, those values have now increased over the last couple of years. Whereas before, if you had a chance to get KD, you don't even question the value because inherently KD's value is just that much higher. Because in the end, it takes a top 10 player, it takes a top 20 player, it takes a top 50 player and a good bench to have a great shot. I'm thinking we're seeing now the decline of value for every NBA star.
Well, Chris, hold on. I just want to stop you there. I want to stop you there because you can't tell me that if Giannis goes on the market tomorrow, people wouldn't sell a mama. You understand what I'm saying? And you said it. It's about age. What is Giannis? 27, 28? It's about age. KD is 34. It's like, yo, look, man, if this was 6 years ago, different story. But we talking about 34. It's like, and these GMs are being smart. Shout out to them. I think Marks would be smart to get Brown because I like Jaylen Brown a lot. And I think that Jaylen Brown is a very talented player. And it's clear that Boston and the fans, shout out to Nat, they don't respect and love him in a way that I think he deserves to be loved. Go ahead and rob Boston for these picks like they robbed you, right? And get Brown. That's the move. Like if somebody's willing to do, Boston has been the only team that's willing to give up one of their top two players. Nobody else has even been willing, right? So that's just the way I see it. But if Giannis came on the market tomorrow, people would trade their mom for Giannis.
Like they would. That's
like they would be like, "Mom, I love you, but you got to go." Like,
I agree. I agree 100%. And I'm like you. I'm higher on Brown than most. Like he has improved every season he's been in. Like the idea that he can't dribble, like, okay, so he's not as aesthetically pleasing as a heliocentric guard, but the man is an all-star two-way player. He averaged 24, 6, and 4, all rounded to the nearest whole number. And on top of that, it makes it easier to trade Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown next to Ben Simmons. That's a great 1-2 guard combo in the East. Like, just think about that. So I agree with you. If Giannis is up there, everybody's trading their moms, but that's because he's 27, right? 7 years later, I don't think they're trading for Giannis, right? Just like KD right now. But we actually have a civil war getting ready to spill over from Celtics Twitter. So hopefully we can get some of these people in here. But on here already, Hooks Johnston, ladies and gentlemen, a Jaylen Brown stan.
Yeah.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I've been better. I did not want to wake up to the news that I saw today. It's just chaos in Celtics Twitter. There's a huge amount of people that think the Celtics' current offer is about right, which isn't a lot. It's actually just Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and maybe my guess is 2 first-round picks. I think that's what Brad wants to do, but obviously the Nets are asking for a whole lot. And there's a huge debate, and I think most people, at least what I'm seeing with the Celtics Twitter, do not want to match what the Nets are saying because they want smart Jaylen Brown and basically every other pick. And what you're going to find with that is that would leave us too vulnerable because I think people don't talk about the injury concerns. When you deal with Robert Williams, who's always injured, then you'd have Brogdon starting, who's also injured, and then KD, who's played 90 games in the last 3 years. That's 3 starters who are injury prone, plus a 37-year-old Al Horford. There's just a huge chaos of, okay, how can we make a trade work without having, a full starting lineup that's injury prone? Personally, I mean, if you do get Derek White a first-round pick and maybe Jason, and you get Jaylen Brown, then I can see it. If you're concerned that because the thing is, you have to remember Jaylen Brown's a free agent in 24, so you're basically saying you think 4 years guaranteed of KD is a safer bet than Jaylen Brown for 2 years. Even though Brown is younger, you don't necessarily know if he's going to stay in Boston. I'm sure if he told Brad, yeah, I'm definitely staying in Boston, they would not be offering him. But there is probably some hesitancy in the group because I think you've seen it. Some people in Boston don't really appreciate Jaylen Brown for what Jaylen Brown is. He's a great scorer, can do it at all 3 levels. His playmaking's a little bit suspect at times, but he's still that guy, and people don't really talk about him. They only talk about Jason Tatum. So I do think there's a little bit of hesitancy with Jaylen Brown, and that's what's driving up this offer from the Celtics. But I don't think they're going to go as high as the Nets want. So it's a question of, are they going to concede somewhat and find some middle ground, or are they going to be really demanding?
All right, so I've got what I think will be Brad Stevenson's reply to Brooklyn's counter, because I don't think they're giving up Marcus Smart. And in fact, when they made the trade for Malcolm Brogdon, I said this really just opens up another trade for a max slot player. And I didn't expect them to move Jaylen Brown in order to do this. I thought that they would end up offering like Derek White and Horford plus all of these picks. And I didn't even think that Kevin Durant would even come across their radar because it doesn't fit with the age and time of Jaylen Brown and, Jason Tatum. So I was sitting over here saying they're doing this really just to get ready for the trade deadline. But I'm going to go ahead and put this out. I got a yes or no on it, and I'll put it up into the Jumbotron as well. It's 3 first-round draft picks, and you can't do swaps on the trade machine. But my guess is it'll be 3 first-round draft picks, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and then they'll probably do a pick swap as well. Your thoughts on something like that?
It's certainly possible, and I think it comes down to what Jaylen Brown says. If Jaylen Brown wants to be a Celtic, I don't think you move him for KD. I know how good KD is. You're talking about probably the second greatest scorer of all time, or greatest, depending on how you view talent. So I get what KD is, but he's 90 games in 3 years. I don't think you split up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're really, really close. I mean, they were in the finals this year, and I understand a little bit of that was, I mean, Bucks were without Middleton. You're expecting the Bucks to be better, but you're still expecting your team to get better. So I don't think you do it unless Jaylen Brown is like, I don't think that trade, like he doesn't want to stay or something like that, or is leaning towards leaving, in which case, yeah, I would do that trade for sure.
All right. Seth, what do you think about this trade?
Yeah, I just think the Gobert, the picks, we gotta, we're dealing with a hangover on this Gobert trade. Like Minnesota really messed up the market, so I feel like nobody is going of that tier for less than 5 picks. So I like the trade, but I think we're just in a weird place, man. We gotta get the next offseason right now.
I think that's a little bit disingenuous though, because you're basically just looking at the picks when Minnesota didn't really get any sort of player anywhere near the caliber of Jaylen Brown.
I'm not being. I said I like the trade, right? So I'm not being disingenuous. I'm just saying what the market is now. I agree that the player.
I'm saying you're missing the main value of the trade in the Grizzlies.
There's no player in the Minnesota trade. There's no player in the Minnesota trade who is worthy of Jaylen Brown. I understand that, but I'm just, and I don't think Marks is as smart as I want him to be, right? Like, and I'm first of all, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not a Nets fan, but like to me, rob Boston for these picks and for Jaylen Brown. Do it. Like, be smart. I think Marks is not going to be smart. I have no faith in him.
So the biggest issue is that every draft pick has a value. The value is assigned directly to the contract, which the team will have to pay the player, right? That's how future draft picks are valued. And the issue with the Gobert trade is that the quantity of picks was large, but the relative value is ambiguous at best, right? Think of it as like an adjustable, mortgage. And what was it said? An an adjustable rate mortgage, where
no, I got you.
Yeah, where you're heading in, and like that first year, you've got a static predicated value, but then the market shifts, and then it raises or lowers depending upon the prime rate. That's what the Minnesota trade was. Like that was Minnesota going to the blackjack table or the roulette table and saying, "Here you go, let's ride." They feeling the pressure, the weight, and the adrenaline because they've never been here. This is a different type of trade. This would be a trade where Boston is simply saying, we're going to capitalize on Brooklyn's misfortune. Brooklyn then has to say, we've got to be willing to, quote, take less to get more. They get younger, they get more, draft capital. They move off Kyrie, they get more draft capital. And you're not even really looking at a full rebuilding because you got a 26-year-old Ben Simmons, a 25-year-old Jaylen Brown, and now you have multiple future first-round draft picks. I want to bring Aussie up.
But hold on, I just want to say this. There's something, but I think you're looking at Brooklyn and Hooks. Y'all are looking at Brooklyn in a vacuum, right? And you're not thinking about Brooklyn was really excited last year that they're in the Garden. People are chanting Brooklyn. Like there is a cachet assigned to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Brooklyn would like for to never trade Durant. They want to keep this. They want to keep building this franchise, right? And so, and that's why I say that's why what they're asking is going to be gargantuan. And I just think that we have to acknowledge that piece of it. Like they're in New York, it's a Knicks market, and they want to be relevant. And Kevin Durant and whatever's going on with Kyrie, but Kevin Durant makes them relevant. And so the smart move is to get off him. You want to be out? Look, we did this 3 years. It ain't work, cool, and get a haul. But they want more than that because they're not selling out with him, right? So like they don't want to lose him. They'll sell less tickets. Like I just think that they're like we have to and to Hook's point when he's thinking I'm just throwing around picks and value. No. What Kevin Durant means to the Brooklyn Nets is way larger than your average trade.
Oh, 100% I agree. And I'll step aside so Aussie can speak. But no, I agree for the most part on that.
I want to give a shout out down below real quick, Aussie, to Nets Kingdom AJ and Saint from Nets Kingdom. I was actually on their show on YouTube, and I told them exactly this, right? Joe Tsai felt betrayed, right, about what went down with Kyrie Irving this past year. And he's like, I'm paying you this money. You guys said you wanted to come here and win. And this is how you are doing it by not playing in what Joe Tsai views as an arbitrary stance against the mandate, right? James Harden leaves. And people are like, James Harden quit. And I remember last year vividly saying, I didn't want them to make this trade until the offseason. James Harden didn't quit on the Nets. James Harden quit on Kyrie Irving. And now it looks like KD's not quitting on the Nets. KD seems to be like, yo, I need a team that I know that it's going to be there to compete day in and day out. Aussie, go ahead. Your thoughts.
I mean, yeah, KD's like, 34 now? So he probably wants to actually go to a team where his teammates are going to fucking play. So that would be helpful. But does anyone know the actual trade that the Nets or the Celtics gave to the Nets?
Jaylen, Derek White, and a future first.
Because I'm thinking if they, I don't know if Celtics fans would want it, but if they added like Rob Will, as well,
no,
you wouldn't want. You don't want to put Time Lord in the trade.
They're not going to put Time Lord in the trade
for KD.
They're not going to.
Because that destroys our depth, Aussie. We have no big man depth beyond Al Horford and Robert Williams.
You got Luke Cornett.
Yeah.
Bro, you love saying his name, Chris.
Bro, Luke Cornett got a 2-year deal gifted.
Got it.
Or if you put like, I don't know. I assume Brown, Grant, and then I don't even know who else. Picks, obviously. Give them all the picture allowed to give them. But
I actually have a subscription to the Athletic. Oddly enough, I just found out this morning that I've had one, so that's cool. So in the article it said that Brooklyn rejected the proposal. They wanted Smart, more draft capital, and potentially another rotational player.
Yeah, which I assume would be Grant.
Yeah, and look up the trade that I think will be Brad Stevens' calendar, because Brad Stevens is going to hold firm, is just going to be more draft capital. I don't think he's adding anybody of value from his rotation last season beyond Jaylen Brown, because they picked up Malcolm Brogdon for a future trade, and it looks like this is it. Aussie, what are your thoughts, real quick? Because I don't want us to go down and break up.
I'm not happy about it. I know the question. I'm not happy.
All right.
Is it Monty?
Is it who? What?
Was it about Monty Williams?
What? We're not talking about Monty Williams.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the question. You can go ahead and ask it then.
No. All right, Buffalo, your thoughts?
Yeah, man. So it's funny. I woke up, but in the middle of the night, I saw the Woj tweet, and I was like, yeah, I actually read the article that he tweeted out, and I was like, yeah, this is like some clickbait to me. I don't hear an actual true offer. I thought it was it was a weird time, and I'm like, okay, well, you don't really tweet stuff like this for like attention. So I was like, okay, whatever. I went to sleep, and then I will go to a notification from Shams that in fact it wasn't just jargon. It was actually an offer was made with Jaylen Brown actually being in it, and that caught my attention. And if Jaylen Brown is truly on the table and Boston is truly okay with getting rid of him, and you combine that with the fact that the Brooklyn Nets seem to be a team that isn't really interested in bottoming out and being terrible, I think it almost comes to the conclusion that he's going to be in Boston, because no other team can offer a player of that caliber at that age with that kind of contract. So I think it's a matter of time now. I think obviously they'll go back and forth on semantics and draft capital and other outside pieces. But if Jaylen Brown is on the table, then you got to go do that trade if you're gonna trade KD regardless. The only thing though, as a basketball fan that's not has no interest in the Brooklyn Nets or the Boston Celtics. I just don't really like it, man. I just don't. Obviously, this is different than Golden State because, KD was a free agent. He had a choice. He won't have a choice of where he decides to go. But I really don't want to see him go to the Boston Celtics, man. Like, I don't know, man. He just got swept by them dudes. They already kind of got like a whole culture thing going on. I think they have a chance to make it to the finals again without KD. I would love to see that team kind of continue to be homegrown and, just kind of, take their L's, come back next year as another team, fight together and try and make it again instead of trading a guy that's been there the whole time for KD to come in. And obviously that'll be fun on paper and, fun to watch. But as just a fan of the NBA, man, I don't know. I just really wouldn't like that. I think it would be kind of weird. But yeah, that's all my thoughts on it for now. But yeah, if Jaylen Brown's on the table and you made up your mind that you're trading KD, I think that's the guy you got to go get.
All right, look, man.
I'll go after you, Hooks.
Cedric's going to be happy because a lot of people are agreeing with him. Up next, we're going to go to Mr. Anthony and the Bad Breakers. That's my friend Tony at 5 Reasons Sports down in Miami, giving you some great Heat coverage. But not only just Heat coverage, we got some personal stuff here out of the Heat, culture, the Twitter sect over here. They're supporting Coach Eric Spoelstra, and I've seen the actual original post. I want to give credit to everybody down in that 305 area who's coalesced around Santiago's story. Up here to talk about it real quick, Tony. Go ahead, Tony. What you got?
Hey, man. Yeah, so Santiago is Eric's son, and on his 4th birthday, they rushed him to the hospital to perform emergency surgery. He has a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a cancer. A form of cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Everything that is done at Nicholas Hospital, Children's Hospital, which is a wing of a children's hospital down here in South Florida, is done to celebrate life and to push forward the ideal that no child should have to go through these things, and the things that those nurses and doctors sacrifice to make that celebration of life possible and give these children opportunities to still be fulfilling and still live long, healthy lives. It's incredible work that they do there. So what we did was partner with them, and we're doing a charity drive tonight. So far, we've already raised $400 towards our $1,000 goal, which is really incredible. We haven't even had the show yet. So thank you, everybody who's donated and shared and quote tweeted and retweeted. We appreciate you so much. But tonight we're going to be doing a show at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and every super chat is getting donated. We're not keeping a dime. This is not about clout at all. Eric Spoelstra's son is in remission. He went through a couple months of chemotherapy and beat cancer, and what we're trying to do is celebrate life tonight, and celebrate those employees and workers and try and give back to them something, anything, because they give so much of their time and so much of their life to this cause. By 8 o'clock tonight, come through on YouTube. The link's up in the space. If you have some time, please quote tweet, please retweet. All that shit's appreciated. Sharing is half the battle, right? Just getting eyes on it's half the battle. And if you do come through and you do super chat, just know every single cent of it is going to the Nicholas Wing in the Children's Hospital. We're donating every single dollar, every single cent.
All right. It's one of those things. Like I'm affected by cancer. Most people are. It's just unfortunately a time of our life. So if you do have the time, swing by and give a couple of cents if you can, afford it. Like, we're not trying to tell you to do it, but we are offering the opportunity if you have the means and you're willing to help to check it out. We'll go to Gifted, then Hooks. What's up, Gifted? Your thoughts? We got a couple people down below we'll get ready to bring up. Everybody, please, if you're in the room, I want to say thank you for stopping by. It's kind of a disjointed show at the beginning. That's because I had actually had an entire hour of W planned. That's what we've been doing since the off season, transitioning to some more W coverage so that we can get eyes on women's basketball, and it's important. Unfortunately, with the news this morning, we kind of been pushed off our rails here. But let me go ahead and real quick before Gifted goes, tell you again that Tina Charles, ladies and gentlemen, is alive and well in the city of Seattle, and she is going to put Seattle on the map as a potential WNBA championship contender. The poll is up top. Last night, 27 and 15 with 4 blocks, 4 from 7 from deep, joining WNBA history with over 7,000 points. Gifted, and then Hooks, you guys' thoughts, and then we'll bring up some more people. Thanks, everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, first off, I want to say big shout out to Chris and my guy Tony. That's a real cause that you put up there. I retweeted. Make sure to spread that out. I do think that's big, and I definitely get you, Chris, on the whole. The show is kind of disjointed stuff because when I woke up this morning, I had a bandage on my nose. I had a bandage on my nose because I have a gash on my nose currently, and I got the sham notification. I read the athletic article, and now this is like a really, really big thing. My biggest thing to look at is the fact that Boston is even entertaining this possibility. To me, might speak to maybe Boston understanding that they might not have the strongest of chances to re-sign Jaylen Brown to a long-term extension because Jaylen Brown has been in trade talks for quite some time, and there's possibility that they're trying to trade high on Jaylen Brown while they can because they understand they might not be able to bring him back. So from that perspective, I can get it. But at the same time, if you're Jaylen Brown, after the way that you played in the playoffs, for you to already be in trade talks again, I'm really curious to see what happens with him personally and if this can fracture his ties to Boston even more. That's primarily what I will look at.
Just real quick, I kind of disagree with the notion that they're kind of trying to sell high, because if you just look at it before this trade request was made public, they did all that. We're going to trade Jaylen Brown talk, last year when they could have traded him, or 2 years ago when they could have traded him for Anthony Davis. You never really heard him in any serious rumors after that. And plus, I think, they could have paid him a lot more money when he was a free agent after that 2024 season. They could have gave him an extension or something like that. So they had 2 seasons of where his value wouldn't plummet next year. You know what I'm saying? If it was really one of those things where they're like, okay, we think we're going to lose him, his value would be the exact same next season because he's so young. It's not like he's like a depreciating asset. He's getting better every season. So I think that it was more just they're just being greedy, I guess. They just want KD. I don't think anything to do with them thinking they're going to lose Jaylen Brown. I think it's more of, hey, let's go get KD because KD's available.
I slightly disagree with you on that only because if that was the case, then you the AD stuff got shut down primarily because AD publicly spoke out and said, I do not want to go to Boston. And after that was said, then it died down. But Boston was absolutely entertaining that trade possibility. I do agree with you, though, because they have a shot to get Kevin Durant, that is something that you look at. But I'm just saying for Jaylen Brown, for your name to even be out there consistently, I think that this could potentially wear on him. And if you're Boston, I can understand looking at Jaylen Brown and saying, we might not be able to re-sign you, but if we trade you, it has to be for a tier 1 or 2 caliber player. And I think that's exactly what Kevin Durant is. So I can understand them diving in and looking at this trade, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to say, what if also the relative value that they have placed on Jaylen Brown as an internal organization is saying that they're not going to pay him 44 to 50, right? That's
exactly, Chris. Yeah.
Hooks, go ahead, and then we'll bring in Classy and Daniel Artest.
Something coming up.
What's up, Hooks?
Just skip me for a second. I gotta do something.
Oh, all right. Classy, what's up, man? Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
That's good.
It's been an eventful morning. My boy Jaylen Brown again in trade talks. I thought it was done for a minute, but I guess KD is a man where if he's on the table, you're gonna put everything you can to get him. And I think that the Celtics making the right move here, trying to trade Jaylen Brown for him. I mean, like, I'm not giving up Marcus Smart though. I'm not giving up both players, but I see why they would give up Jaylen Brown and potentially Derek White and a few picks to get KD, because when you see a player like KD, and especially with Tatum on that team, you want to maximize their championship ceiling. And I don't think that Jaylen Brown and Tatum have always been the best duo. Obviously they just made the finals, but I don't know if they can repeat the same run, especially with the East getting stronger and the overall NBA getting stronger. I don't think they can win a championship in this climate now. And getting KD would make that a lot easier because he's obviously a better player than Jaylen Brown, and he would be a better co-star for Tatum. And then I don't know. It's hard to break it down because it depends what they're doing this deal for. Are they doing this deal because they're not confident on Jaylen Brown coming back, or are they doing this deal to win a championship now? And both outcomes are perfectly fine to me. I think that if they keep Jaylen, it'll be alright. They could still compete, but trading for KD is the most like it has the best outcome for the Celtics. I think they can win a championship with Kevin Durant.
You know, it's funny to me as you look at it, right? There's no doubt in my mind that they're trying to fill a need. Like the one issue that the Celtics had, and it's weird for me to even speak on this topic because I was the team the Celtics put out to get to the finals. But the one issue that the Celtics had was when you presented ball pressure and you got into the secondary ball handlers and you put physicality on those players, there was a lot of forced turnovers, right? And Jaylen Brown was a huge piece of that. So if you're looking at that and you're like, okay, what's the player? Who can we get? Who can we grab that's going to help us more efficiently create secondary playmaking and shot making, right? I mean, Kevin Durant's a pretty great answer to that. Maybe the best answer in the league. So I don't think for a second that the Celtics aren't looking at this and trying to team management and fill a gap. I don't think that they're just blindly going for the name. I think that Kevin Durant makes a lot of sense for them. And I think that the conversation that Gifted brought up is really interesting. If it's not Jaylen Brown, if it's a guy that they don't want to take because they're worried about extending him later, I mean, they still have Ben Simmons' salary. They still have a couple of guys' salaries that they might have to extend that's on their own team. Who's the player? You know, Jaylen Brown seems like the right kind of name. He seems like the guy that gets the Kevin Durant deal done. But if it's not him, who's the player? Who's the guy that actually gets traded for Kevin if he's asking for a trade?
It's funny though
And
that
that's
you
the
say
thing, man.
that the next the next secondary ball handler, how they kind of turn the ball over, because last time we saw KD on the basketball court, he looked like he had butterfingers
Yeah, he was turning the ball
at
over, right?
Boston Celtics defense. And so
Right.
that's the only reason why I say I think it's more of they're saying, okay, this is Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant is better than anybody on our roster. Let's go get him, instead of you saying it's a filling a need. Because if you just look at it from a basketball perspective, all right, what does KD and Jaylen Brown do well? Score the basketball and defend the basketball. Obviously on two different kind of levels, but it's not like you're getting any guy that's has a skill set that the other one doesn't have. It's like he's just a better version of that.
That's not true.
I mean,
Kevin Durant is a
Oh my
far
God, can I
superior.
please?
the only thing I'll push back
And
on
he
that is
are
that
underrating KD's
Kevin is
playmaking here too. I don't
Kevin
know
is
about that.
7 feet,
Yeah,
right?
he had a
So like,
really good
there's a
game too.
size thing that they desperately need to.
I
Uh,
think
Size
KD
was
has
not the issue.
recently.
Size was not the issue for the Boston Celtics this finals run. They were the biggest team in the NBA this year in terms of
Well,
starting
it,
lineup.
well, they
the,
were the longest. They weren't the
long,
biggest, but there's a verticality piece that they're definitely missing, and that they fell at the rim. Because if you go and look at those cleaning the glass numbers, Golden State produced really, really, really well inside of 4 feet on Boston.
I want to take a quick break, Tony. I want to get Da in here to talk real quick. This as well as my question about the Seattle Storm, because that was actually going to be the lead for the first hour with Tina Charles integrating in the Storm. Does this make
Can they
this?
trade her to New York,
No.
please?
Hey, real fast before you get into that, Chris. I do just want to like make sure that we're all on the same page here, and I'm not crazy. I think looking at Kevin Durant, if you trade for Kevin Durant, your window becomes bigger, but the length of that window becomes shorter.
Well,
Whereas if you keep Jaylen Brown, it's a longer window, but not as wide open.
we're literally gonna go right back. We're just getting like a quick 30-second, but yeah.
You don't want to talk about the Jaylen Brown Ben Simmons window? That's crazy.
DA, co-host of the 94 by 50 women's basketball podcast with K. Lou. This morning's show was going to lead off with the Tina Charles' fantastic game and prominence in Seattle, giving her Breonna Stewart and her a good 1-2 punch as Sue Bird is pretty much done. Great game last night. Bigger question: is Seattle now the third team in a 3-team race for the WNBA title? And then what are your thoughts on this Jaylen Brown and KD news? Then we're going to get to Nat, who's a Celtics fan. If you're down below and you want to come on up, go ahead, raise your hand. We'll start switching people out at 11 o'clock. BA, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. What up? What up? Tony, the one I was talking about, Eric Spoelstra's son. Y'all understand where you're coming from. My niece, my brother's daughter, actually had that type of cancer when she was 4 years old, and she beat it too as well. I think Diamond's got to be about 19 now. So, yeah, definitely want to say, yeah, let's support that man. I'm gonna make a nice little donation and stuff to the cause. Just send me the link, and we'll go from there. As far as the WNBA stuff, it depends what type of Tina Charles is going to show up. I always felt like that that Seattle was the third team in it all season anyway. You just can't count them out. They're just so good. You got Stewie, which is elite. You know what I mean? That whole team is elite, especially defensively when you got Ezzy Magabor, who's leading the league in blocks, also who is kind of undersized as a center, but she holds her ground more than anything against anybody. Like Seattle is just Seattle. They're always going to be there. You just don't count them out. Tina Charles makes them really good if she can be efficient, because y'all know she can go off for 27, 15 and 4 blocks, but then she can have a game where she's having 12 on 3 of 19 shooting. So it just depends on how she is, during that time or whatever. As far as this Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant thing, I don't know why everybody in here is talking, making big think pieces about this whole thing and coming up with game plans or whatever. It's freaking Kevin Durant, all right? Yeah, you make the trade, okay? If you can make the trade, God damn it, like it's not that simple. Your window's bigger, yeah, it's shorter, but if you win a championship, it's all worth it. You know what I mean? You got Kevin Durant in your sights. You do everything possible to get him. Now with the whole Marcus Smart inclusion, I understand that, you know what I'm saying? But you got to figure it out how to get them. You got to figure out how to get them. I think that with Jaylen Brown too, and a lot of people shitting on Jaylen Brown. I think over the last 2 years, Jaylen Brown's a 25 or 24 point per game scorer. Even in the finals, he had a great finals. If they would have won it, he probably would have won like Finals MVP or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's all I pretty much got to say. I don't got to say. It's no big think piece or whatever. Listen, it's Kevin Durant. All right, you get Jaylen Brown, cool. Let me ask y'all a question. Chris, would you have rather have Jaylen Brown for the next 10 years or whatever and see whatever your championship window is at right there, or Kevin Durant for the next 4 years? That's basically the question and stuff. And if Boston really wants it, they're gonna have to, like I always say, pay to play. They're gonna have to pay to play, and sometimes you got to pay that price and stuff. But I think that you get KD, it'll all work out. You got somebody. If Jason Tatum shits the bed again, you got somebody in Kevin Durant who been there. You know what I mean? Who is a champion, and that can bail him out and everything like that. So I think you just make the deal, move on with it, man. Thanks for letting me speak.
Better love Peyton Pritchard. You better love Peyton Pritchard, right? Like if you move Marcus Smart and you move Jaylen Brown, you better love Peyton Pritchard as
and Derek White though, because they got to also involve Derek White in the trade.
Yeah, go ahead and make your point, DA.
One more point. I have a big ass. I'm not going to tell y'all who, but I have a big ass WNBA player coming on the show today. Me and K-Dot is going to we're going to record with her today, but as an active player, I might give you a hint. All I will say is this: she plays on the West Coast. That's what I would say. She plays on the West. She plays in the Western Conference, and then on Wednesday we have a former WNBA player, and then I have two more confirmed, just waiting on a date. One of them is a former WNBA player, and another one is a super duper legend. You know what I mean? That everybody going like. If you did your top 10 WNBA players, should probably be. I'm not going to say what number it is because I don't want to give it up. I'll say she's top 7, but is she higher? Is she high on that or low? I don't know. I'm gonna leave that up for y'all to guess. But we got some big shows coming up, y'all. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, if you are Boston, you make this trade because there's only one title. 30 teams try to get it every year, and only one team gets it, and you just got waxed by a team on the West Coast that you could not stop. And one of the reasons why you could not stop is because your offense became stagnant. It was Jason Tatum and the Pips. Like, that's just what it was at one point. Yeah, Jaylen Brown had some shots, but he cannot put the ball on the court and create for others the way that Kevin Durant can do alongside Jason Tatum. Up next, we're going to go to a Boston Celtics fan, our Boston Celtics fan. Reese Rebel 31 is the handle, host of So You Think You're a GM Saturdays at 4 p.m. during the season, and co-host of Benchwarmers, getting ready to spin up and launch in the next week or so to help us get through this void. Nat, what you got this morning? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. So I don't understand the think pieces around this trade. Is common sense to me. Yes, you make the damn trade. We're talking about a secondary guy in Jaylen Brown. Maybe in your head, he's a superstar. He's not. Versus Kevin Durant, a guy that allows us to put him at the 4, and I finally don't have to live with Al Horford at the 4 at 36 years old, who is limited. I don't understand the think pieces. I think that people are very much so in love with Jaylen Brown. I get it. But nobody wants to say his deficiencies and say sometimes he is the guy that you can't go to because he is limited. And then I keep saying, okay, well, he needs to be a playmaker. He needs to, understand how to dribble. He needs to be a better dribbler. Then I have people that, do coach guys and train them say it's hard to be a good dribbler if you weren't already good at it. So I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Because I thought that, he works on it. He comes back a better playmaker. Okay, this makes more sense. But they said it's just not that easy if you weren't already on the road to doing it or you weren't already like halfway decent before. I was like, all right, whatever. To say that he scores like Kevin Durant is such a slap in the face to Kevin Durant. I don't even know if people understand what they're watching when it comes to Kevin Durant. That man is phenomenal. Before he went down last year, he was top 3 in MVP voting. Before he went down last year, they were number 1 in Brooklyn. He goes down, that franchise hits the damn floor. Then he comes back and he's supposed to save everybody. And I just think that that's crazy. So, yes, you make this damn trade. Absolutely. Because another reason is I have Jason Tatum, who clearly is the best player. If we're arguing about that, I'm not going to go back and forth with people about eyes. 1 second. My bad. But when it comes to Jason Tatum, he can actually benefit from having Kevin Durant on his team because that's the guy he needs to be looking at. Like, damn, how do you do this? How do you do that? Let me see if I can work this into my arsenal too. So that's another plus of having Kevin Durant. Jaylen Brown is a role player, and I think you look at, but he's efficient. And he's one of the biggest reasons why I can't stand the word efficient when talking about basketball. If he's efficient, he must be better. And that's just not the case. If another secondary guy comes along with the athleticism and hops that he has, you probably play better with Jason Tatum as your number 1, 2, because then it's easier for you to get off. But he's not a star. He's a very good role player. And at some point, I just really wish Celtics fans will understand that. Then I have a lot of franchises who are guys or people that have not been used to winning. So they look at Jaylen Brown like he's gold. And that's good for you. But I've seen it for years. I've been a part of a winning organization for years. I can say he is a role player. If you have an opportunity to get Kevin Durant, you do it because his game is not contingent on athleticism. You can put him at the 4 Tatum at the 3. The only thing about this trade I don't like, and it's the only thing because of matchups and how I look at it, is giving up Marcus Smart. I don't like it because I don't want to be left with just Brogdon. I kind of wanted Brogdon and Smart to play off of each other, and I really don't want to be stuck with Peyton Pritchard. So I'm trying to come to terms with that because that might happen. But other than that, hell yeah, you make this trade for 4 years. Absolutely.
Peyton Pritchard, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the butt end of a lot of jokes today. I want to give some shout outs down below. Shout out to the Cortland Christian. You can catch the words over at Hoop Scene. He's a contributor there, covering the scouting and AAU circuit. If you want to be a better fan, start it where players start to really develop and track their progress and development. And you'll find as you grow with each recruiting class, your knowledge in that recruiting class in basketball in general grows. John Lynch from Business Insiders in the building. Ishan from Fadeaway World is here as well. And TJ Kiesel is in the building. Great content creators, all 4 of them. Up next, we'll let Hooks respond. We'll bring in Bukhari because those are actual known quantified Celtics fan. We'll hit up Tony. We got Al B, Buffalo, and then we'll say good morning to Emily Austin, everybody. Go ahead, Hooks.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had a work call. First of all, I'm going to have to respond to that because Jaylen Brown's not a role player. That's just nonsensical. Last year, he was averaging 24 points per game. He was one of 15 guys to average, I think, at the All-Star break, 25 points per game. He was the only one who wasn't an All-Star. And that's primarily due to the Celtics record, and I could understand it, but to call him a role player is nonsensical, at least in my mind. In terms of his handle, he sometimes will have games where he really gets it. I think a little bit his struggles in the finals, especially with JT. I think you got to give credit to the Warriors. Their hands were pretty much everywhere. And I think people sleep on what the Celtics bench was. Grant was awful in the finals. There were a lot of reasons why the Celtics really struggled, but they didn't quite get slapped like people thought they did. They were 4 minutes away in Game 4 from taking Game 4 and going up 3-1. They just did what they had done a lot of the season and kind of had a couple minutes where they couldn't score. I was at that game. That was a magical performance by Steph Curry, and ultimately they won, and that's fair game for them. But to say the Celtics got slapped by the Warriors, I don't think is accurate whatsoever. And people sleep on the fact that in Game 1, at the end of Game 4, Jaylen Brown scored and assisted on 12 straight points and brought us back into that game. But people are going to try and tell me that, Jaylen Brown didn't do anything. I mean, the dude single-handedly brought us back into Game 1 and resulted it and gave us a shot to win it, which we ended up doing. Now, that being said, it's Kevin Durant. It's a top 3 scorer in the NBA, maybe in history. He's 34, yeah. I think you have some concerns about his durability. He's had 90 games in the last 3 years. He's on a 4-year deal, so you're getting a little bit more guarantee in terms of length versus Jaylen Brown, who's only signed to 2024. And I think you have to be really, and people were talking about this like it's a no-brainer. If you can trade for Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant straight up, yeah, you should do it. Like, I love Jaylen Brown, I get it, but if you can trade straight up, you do it. I think the question is the extra pieces. I would not move Smart whatsoever because, as I mentioned previously, that leaves you with 3 injury-prone starters in Brogdon, Robert Williams, and Kevin Durant, plus a 37-year-old Al Horford. I think that's just a recipe for a disaster. And this whole time they've been slowly building an incredibly 10-deep roster. And then you probably have to include a role player like Grant Williams. Now you only have Al Horford and Gallo as guys above, 6'8". But on the flip side, and I think people sleep on this, is JT is pretty similar to Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant joining the Celtics would be really interesting for JT's development. And the only way I think that the trade sort of, and what I'm curious, and Chris, this is something I'm really curious because I know you've mentioned the Celtics adding on extra picks, but I could see the Celtics including Grant and Peyton Pritchard if they were able to include Joe Harris, for example, from the Nets, if the Nets were trying to get off some of their later cap as well. I could see a trade sort of expanding into that kind of situation. So I don't know what your thoughts are
Hey,
on expanding it.
I don't see a Joe Harris added on. That's 60 million in cash. And to be fair, Boston won a couple of games in the final. The two games they won was because Golden State couldn't rebound. Other than that, Golden State dominated. That's why I said,
Not game 4. The Celtics were winning that for most of the game until the very end.
okay, so one game.
Okay, so game 2, game 5, and game 6. I mean,
It's rough,
It's
but
not domination though. That's my only point.
well,
how
okay.
are those
So
games though, Mello?
domination,
Did you see the scoreboard?
yeah, domination is this: the inability to overcome your opponent. That is what domination is on the NBA court. If you can't overcome your opponent in a 7-game series, you've been dominated. Now the scores can be close, but there was no closeness of the matchup other than the games when Boston out rebounded. And that was the hallmark of a young team. If you look at how Detroit had to overcome Boston, how Boston had to overcome LA, it's the same thing. We'll go
Hey, yo,
to.
Hooks might need to mute his mic. His mic echoing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, mute your mic if it's echoing. My fault, guys.
I kind of want to defend think piece agenda because I find all of this so fucking interesting. And I know that like in a vacuum we're all going, yeah, of course you make the trade. But like, is it the piece that the trade isn't made and what kind of player they want for Kevin Durant? Like, isn't like what salary are they willing to take back? Why is Jaylen not okay, but Jaylen and Marcus Smart is okay? Like, isn't none of this interesting? Like, people are slandering think piece agenda, but I love
this is the thing I don't understand, bro. When people say slandering think piece, is no one in their right mind as a basketball fan says that you wouldn't take Kevin Durant on your team for Jaylen Brown. No one's saying that. The point is, and why I think you should analyze a little bit more is, for one, if you ask these same exact Boston Celtics fans a couple of months ago if they thought they could win the NBA championship, they would have told you with 100% straight face, absolutely, positively. There's no doubt in my mind. Banner number 18 is going up in the TD Garden, yada yada yada.
I disagree with that.
For people to come on here now and say that that's just absolutely ridiculous. They were outnumbered, outmanned. Jaylen Brown is a role player. I think that's kind of crazy. I think the fact of you can say you want Kevin Durant on your team without all of a sudden saying that Jaylen Brown is freaking terrible and he's a role player. He's not anything like that. Like, I think you could do both of those things. Like, you don't have to just tear the man all the way down. Because you were right there. I think you were far closer than people want to say now to beating Golden State. I think a couple lucky breaks, a couple of more discipline on you guys' end. You guys could have very clearly won that series. I don't think it was something where it was, oh, Golden State just blew them out. I think the lack of discipline unraveled towards the end, and it looked worse than what it actually was because they won 2 games in a row. But I don't think it was something where it was like
3 games in a row.
You said what?
3 games in a row. You said 2.
My fault. And just it unraveled like that. And also, I just wanted to address what Nat said when you said I never said that they were the same score. I simply said that Kevin Durant is obviously 100 times better than Jaylen Brown. But when it comes to like them having different skill sets, I don't think there's one skill set that KD has that Jaylen Brown doesn't have, obviously on a much lesser level. But I do think that they have similar skill sets in terms of being able to shoot the ball, defend. Obviously, KD is much better at it. But to say that, you're getting something completely different than the player is, I don't necessarily agree with.
Today's funny. This is a fun day. We're having a good day. Nothing you said. I'm just like this whole thing.
No, and that's the thing too. Like if the shit is funny, then say what the hell I'm tweaking on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. Like,
it's not.
My feelings not gonna be hurt. Like,
I never thought I would see Hezzy Tween versus Hezzy Tween.
Yeah. Real quick. Nat was brought out by name, so I'm gonna let Nat respond. For me, I've rewatched the finals now 3 times, and I had called Golden State in 6, and I had called that way early, and nothing in rewatching the finals 3 times says anything that Boston had anything to do to outlast Golden State. to win 4 games without a Golden State injury. They just didn't have it. And what I think is that Boston picking up Malcolm Brogdon was more for a trade next year off season as opposed to getting KD
You
now.
didn't think for 1 second Boston's defense couldn't match up with Golden State? Not
They
for
lost
1
in
second.
6 games, not they lost in 5. Like
I'm saying before that. Everybody always wants to go, yeah, I knew.
I mean,
but you didn't think for 1 second that wasn't a good matchup? I sure as shit did.
I thought the Heat actually would have been a better matchup, and I said that.
For Golden State?
Yeah, I
disagree.
I thought the Heat would have been a tougher opponent than Golden State.
That would have been based off of just what? Championship
Wait a minute,
experience?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Yeah, say that again.
I think that the Heat would have been a tougher, series than Boston in the finals.
I disagree.
Versatility, Chris?
Miami didn't have the offense. Like Miami
injured.
Versatility, defense, and mucking it up, man. Like,
Nah, he just wants to hear tough hoopers like Gabe Vincent, bro. Tough hooper. I like it.
Wait, I'm just confused because the Heat.
All right, like we got way too much going on. Hooks, man, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave and come back in because like your echo is like deep. Yeah, I said it before and I say it again. I thought Miami would have been a more difficult matchup for Golden State than Boston. I just think because of how they play their team basketball versus what Boston did. Boston became overly reliant on Jason Tatum. And when they needed Jaylen Brown, he provided a scoring punch, but he did it at the cost of everybody else. That's the argument of efficiency that Nat's making. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, Buffalo. I'm saying that's the argument that spaces in time, Jaylen lapsed. Those lapses cost Boston.
There is a version of this of controlling pace that Miami might have offered.
I do have a question though. So what do you mean by at the expense of everybody else when it comes to Jaylen Brown getting his offense?
Chris, can you just say that Jaylen Brown is a great player so we can move on?
Jaylen Brown is a great player.
Thank you.
I'm supporting Think Peace agenda in here, by the way.
And that's not
bad, by the way.
But bro, come on now, like that's completely disregarding what everybody else here is saying, and no one here is saying that.
You disregarded what I said, actually. So I'm just kind of like paying it forward.
What do you mean I disregarded what you said?
I never said that Jaylen Brown was terrible. I never.
When did I say that you said that?
Listen to what I'm saying. I never said that Jaylen Brown was terrible. I never said that he's a bad player. A lot of things that after I spoke, everybody is saying that I said because I would make the trade in a heartbeat. That's not what I said. What I
never said you said that though. What are you talking about?
All right, continue. He called on me, but go ahead and continue.
No, I'm saying, but I simply was responding to when you said that Jaylen Brown was a role player, and I said I don't think.
Yeah, he is a role player. So if you take Jaylen Brown right now, right, and you take him on a franchise, you can build around him, and he's your number one. You can do that right now?
No.
I think you could.
Okay.
I think you can build around Jaylen Brown. I don't think you're going to be amazing, but you can build around him.
So for Buffalo, saying I don't think he'll
Jaylen
be
Brown and
amazing
Ben Simmons in the league.
It's crazy to me. That's crazy. If you say that, I don't think he'll be amazing, but I mean, he can be a number one. That, like, come on, man. Like, that's not what you say when you say a guy you can build around because he's your superstar. That's different. I think he's a very good player. But to say that you can build around him and that is going to be a championship roster because he's the number one, everybody else is going to compliment him. How? I don't see it.
Okay, but here's the thing, though, why that argument kind of is even irrelevant, because he doesn't even have to be the number one on the Boston Celtics, because he's not. Jason Tatum is the number one. So if you're telling me that you wouldn't be comfortable with him being That
helps my argument.
What?
Yeah, the argument is that Jaylen Brown provides a role to Jason Tatum's stardom.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
He does, however. Okay, question, though. Who would you rather take, Jaylen Brown or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
So if you put KD there, that's 2 stars, not a star and a role player. That was her argument. You said her argument was wrong. She's saying that's my argument again, but we don't think you're hearing her argument. I just want to know, do you hear her argument now?
I might take Shai, by the way.
What's up, Gifted?
I would too, Gifted.
By the way.
I would too.
You're a
Get
nasty
by the way.
individual. You're a
Ooh,
nasty.
is that the
That's
player that
that's
gets this deal done? Because this is the most interesting part of this whole fucking day. If it's not Jaylen Brown, who the
Who's
fuck
the player?
is the player?
Right.
Who's
It's
the
Jaylen
player?
Brown. It's Jaylen. I don't see another deal that it gets done because Brooklyn is scrambling. We
Right.
know that. So it's like I look at it like, well, damn, if it's gonna be Jaylen Brown, that makes sense because everybody else, they're kind of scoffing at. So my thing is, and you were right, I think Tony, you said this. Why is Marcus Smart? Why are you so like Marcus Smart, or whatever? That's the only way I kind of put some like hold up on this. Like I don't want to give up Marcus Smart because I don't want to look at Peyton Pritchard. I'm gonna keep saying that. I don't want to look at that man.
Oh,
Okay.
y'all,
Agreed.
if you give up Marcus Smart, you have Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon.
Okay, so Chris, if you're just gonna be against me, like just let me know, bro, because I thought we were closer than that. But
I'm
listen,
just saying, like Mark, if you
like,
Sean said this in the group chat. Like Boston Celtic fans are really sitting here saying Marcus Smart is holding up Kevin Durant.
yeah, but listen, I don't
Probably
want to
because he's the defensive player of the year.
Pritchard. I don't want to look at Peyton Pritchard. You saw that when we put Peyton Pritchard on the floor, Chris, right? Peyton Pritchard was like, oh my God, is he gonna score at least 4 points? You had to hope and pray that he got 4 points. I don't want to do it.
You can sign Dennis Schroeder. Bukhari, let me get you in
Kemba
here as
Walker.
a fan. We'll go to Rico after Albie. So Bukhari, Albie, my man Rico, and then Manny Maxwell. Maxwell, please shoot us a follow so you can stay up here. That's what we need for currency. We've got 6 people in the wings, including a return of Hooks. We will get all of you up in 18 minutes when we start cycling through. Let's these people say their piece. Bukhari, go.
This is a terrible day for the Boston Celtics. This is a horrible day, for many reasons. For the first reason is this became public, and this is the worst thing that could happen because now Jaylen Brown just said on Twitter SMH, and for the people who are above the age of 30, that means shaking my head.
Hey,
Yo,
That was nuts.
But Bukhari, I hate to break the news to you, right? Like I'm 40. We've been using SMH since we had dial-up, bro. Like before you were even a glint in the eye of the physiological entity that created you. There you go. Please continue.
Too many damn big words, Chris.
All right, nice words, man. Okay, so basically, it's not looking good. Jaylen Brown does not trust the Boston Celtics no more, I feel like, and this is very bad. So this basically means either we have to trade Jaylen Brown. We have to get the KD trade. It has to work because right now he doesn't trust us, and trust in any relationship is number one, whether it be personal, business, or anything. It's just number one. You have to trust him. Trust this person. So right now, it's not looking too good. The second reason is, basically, Sean Marks is what I call a supervillain. He is trying his best to squeeze out as much assets as possible in this KD trade. And this man is a very evil man. We gave him, what was it, Derek White, Jaylen Brown in the first, and he said no. I don't know how many first-round picks we have left because, God knows, only Allah knows how many first-round picks we have left. But we already used a couple of them, so hopefully we can pull out like a 2027, 2028 first-round pick. I hope he likes that. I don't know, but it's not looking too good. And for the assets that we have, most of them were very well. Like I don't want to trade Smart. Smart's off the table. I don't want to trade my fan favorite Grant Williams. I'm not doing that. Rob Williams is definitely off the table. Obviously, Tatum's off the table. So what do we have left? We have what? Bro, I don't know. Like we don't have enough assets to give him. Like they're extremely valuable. Cause like if we trade Rob, right? We have no defense. Like that's our like.
Hey, you got that, man.
Like, well, I'm not trading. Like, I'm not trading. I will not trade Smart. Like maybe Horford. I mean, if you want Horford, I'll give him Horford.
Today's a funny day, man.
Today
is a funny day.
I got a question for the Boston Celtics fan. What if this is all a ploy? right? Like, so apparently, possibly, maybe, and I'm doing the Windhorse air separation as I'm doing this. This was a previous trade that has been leaked for two reasons. One, because they need something, right? Two, what if this is all a ploy for the Boston Celtics to trade for Donovan Mitchell?
I don't want Donovan Mitchell at all. I don't want to. I'll give up Al Horford and a first-round pick. That's it.
Let me tell
I
you
will
something.
never give up. I do not want Donovan Mitchell on this basketball team. I do not want him.
I don't
I'm
want
serious.
Donovan Mitchell, Chris. I'm all set with that. I'll keep Jaylen, and we can work it out.
What if leaking this is all a ploy to shake another team to the table that wasn't at the table?
I agree with that, Tony.
Yeah.
I agree with that. If we have to run it back in with Jaylen Brown and Tatum, I'm happy. I love the players that we acquired this offseason. They are going to fill a role that we did not have last year and make us deeper. But if we trade for Kevin Durant, but not at the expense of Marcus Smart, I'm happy. Like, I'm just happy. So that's all I'm saying.
And Chris, I think that's kind of an interesting point because when you think of it as, I think the timing of how it came out is weird a little bit. Like, if a trade offer was recently made where Jaylen Brown was really offered, wouldn't Woj, being the breaker that he was, wouldn't he just say that in his original quote unquote breaking of the story? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, it's just weird how it was like, okay, they're kind of talking about it, and then all of a sudden, no, yeah, they did. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No. So like, you know how you catch fish, right? You have to locate the fish. Fish will give you telltale signs where they are.
I'm from Chicago. I ain't never been fishing in my life, but I get you.
Let me help you out. Most of the time, you're not going to see it. Like, you're not going to see them break the water. So, like, a whole thousands and thousands of years ago, people would actually take big rocks and toss them, from the little boats that they were in, so that you'd get a momentary still of the water, and you would actually see the fish kind of part ways. Well, you're really just driving the fish so that they would return. They would return once the agitation goes away, and it would be a lot easier to get them. Now, that's a long-winded analogy to say this is more than likely a dump so that we get more action or a resetting of the market, if you will, right? So now Brooklyn is saying, hey, we're cool with the player of Jaylen Brown's caliber and a player of Marcus Smart's caliber and maybe a pick or two. And that kind of resets everybody's, stance when they originally said, well, we want, the cow, the chicken, a 5-pound block of aged white cheddar cheese. You see where I'm going. And that is a ploy that reporters do. Right? Like, they get fed stuff. They're asked to hold on to it until a specific time. And the most unusual thing was Woj dropping it at like 2:30 in the morning. That's the unusual part. I want to get Albie up in here. He's been patient. We'll go to Rico, and then we got Manny.
I'm so
and then
mad
we're gonna,
that I missed whatever the conversation was. I saw people laughing. I was on FaceTime. I'm sick, bro. I'm sick.
At some point, he has said telltale sign and then fish. Like, he tried to sneak that pun in there. Like, we weren't going to notice, but I noticed, Chris. I noticed.
Give Tony a point. Albie, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good morning, Chris. Shouts out to Hoop Spaces. Appreciate y'all letting me in today. I seen a really interesting segue this morning. A lot of the guys on ESPN and Fox was talking about screw the Brown trade. Maybe we should do Tatum. Think about it. If you do Tatum, you give up less. You still get KD, and we all know that KD is worth.
Never.
KD is way. Listen. I'll let you talk. Listen.
I'm not gonna lie. Not everybody deserves a mic. I'm sorry. That is hilarious.
How is that hilarious? Is Kevin Durant better than Jason Tatum?
In terms of a vacuum, sure, but in terms.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Chris. Let me ask you this, Chris. Is KD gonna be better than Jason Tatum in the next 3 to 4 years?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
So we haven't seen the best of Jason Tatum. You think there's 2 more levels he could go?
I think there's 1 more level.
And that's still not Kevin Durant.
Man, it's not even about that. What the hell is Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown winning together? Please let me know.
You still have Marcus Smart. You still have your other point guard. You still have the rest of your team. This guy makes you guys look great. This is a great trade. You don't give up no draft picks. This is a great trade. I already put it in the little comment section thing, but
I tell
it's a
you,
great trade.
Can you post it so we can vote on that trade?
Yeah, I posted it on the little thing.
Oh, Nat with debate is crazy.
yeah, that Matt always GMing.
Do you think Kevin Durant can play with Grant Williams? I was just thinking about that.
I think Kevin Durant with Marcus Smart, with Jaylen Brown, with Al Horford is a great lineup. I
He's
think that's
still going to be
good.
the best playmaker on the. Oh man,
I'm just imagining Grant Williams at a timeout somewhere, like the first, second round of the playoffs, kind of cheering up the team, yelling on the side of the bench. I'm just imagining what Kevin would do in that scenario.
But you got to think about this. Why y'all? What happened last season? Why y'all lost? Number one, turnovers. Let's keep it a buck. You fixed that with the new signing. And number two was rebounding. Kevin Durant can contribute to both. A center is not going to stick KD. You can't put a center on KD.
Who's a better rebounder?
Kevin Durant's not a better rebounder than Jason Tatum?
I asked you a question. Don't reverse it. I asked you a question. So you said that rebounds, like as if KD gets Gobert rebounds like 15.
He could get more rebounds than Tatum.
Okay, so what?
Founded Durant last year.
But Tatum could get more rebounds than Jaylen Brown.
I'm not trade. Listen. The team is better with KD than it is right now, and y'all know that.
Albie, let me ask you a question, man. Did you watch the WWE in the 90s growing up?
I did. I was a big WWE fan.
That's what you just did, man. You literally just ran down the entryway, jumped up on the top rope, and then like elbowed some dude on the 3 count and got him up on 2.
WWE might be what the Boston Celtics look like after 3 games with Grant Williams and Kevin Durant.
All we needed was better rebounding, and we would have beat Golden State, right?
No, y'all had turnovers too. Remember, I said turnovers.
And Jaylen Brown turned the ball over too.
Oh my God! You don't.
What is your point?
I'm gonna go to Rico Suave, ladies and gentlemen. Paradox Killer 23, one of the 3 hosts of 77 Spaces, the best damn Navs coverage you can get on this app, because he's gonna tell you why exactly Boston shouldn't make this trade. That way, Dallas can send Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, and Josh Green for Kevin Durant. Rico Suave, floor.
Man, Chris, don't gaslight me like that.
He gaslighted the hell out of you,
right?
That was crazy.
Like, I ain't even putting that shit out there in the atmosphere, because I know Brooklyn's gonna laugh and the Celtics are gonna laugh at that shit. But anyways, the Celtics, if y'all get KD, I mean, y'all get KD. I think y'all have a really good chance at getting to the finals. And like Chris said, everybody wants that championship at the end of the day. There's 30 teams fighting for it. Only one team can get it. You get KD, you get a good shot at it for four years with Tatum, who's constantly evolving as well. And I want to see it. I mean, Jaylen Brown and Ben Simmons, I want to see that too. I want to see how Ben Simmons works with Jaylen Brown, who's a really good knockdown 3-point shooter. But man, this is a crazy ass Monday, Chris. You got people attacking your age for SMH. You got people throwing out Tatum for KD. Like, man, talk about an exciting fucking Monday. Thank you, KD.
Nasty work, man.
Look, it's almost as nasty as Chris always denying the fact that he's a Kings shadow GM. But
it's crazy, Rico. It's crazy.
Right. It's crazy, Rico. Speak on it.
But join us Wednesday for 77 Spaces, the best damn Mad space you could find here on Twitter Spaces, #Hoop Spaces. And Chris, I admire your trolling job.
Thank you. It's an art. It's not a science. It's the only artistic talent I have. Like, literally.
That was very self-deprecating.
I think the Nets are trying to get the Raptors playing ball again. This is just where I'm at.
See, listen. This is why I'm pro think piece, because I promise you, Tony, you're reading my damn mind, bro.
Oh, stop it.
I'm going to put a poll about the think piece agenda up there in a second.
Yeah, and tag me in it, Tony.
The Raptors are done. The Raptors are just absolutely done. Like, no amount of tweeting by Iman is bringing the Raptors back into this KD trade talk.
Hey Chris, all
Because
I
they
know is
is
the
not
last
giving up
time
Scotty
people
Barnes,
said the
bro.
Raptors was
Scotty Barnes
done,
is staying
they
in the
traded
six.
DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. The last time they said the Raptors was done, they traded DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard.
Let me
I'm
let me
just
get
saying.
let me get Manny in here so I can get Adam from Locked On Nets, ladies and gentlemen. Manny, welcome to the show. You will fill the Bibs Corner segment quota. First time, long time. Welcome. How you doing?
Oh, thank you so much for having this space, Chris. This is awesome. I wanted to talk some Celtics. First and foremost, obviously, if KD comes to the Celtics, I'm a Celtics fan, big Celtics fan for a long time. If KD comes to Celtics, KD comes to Celtics. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna. At the end of the day, I'm sure I'll talk myself into being okay with it because it's Kevin Durant, right? But most importantly, I don't know what's more nasty right now. I don't know if that was that Jason Tatum for KD or the fact that Sean Marks is out here puppeteering, playing some craziness. I forgot who said that in this space, but I totally agree. It's like Sean Marks is just really being a villain, saying, "Hey, you know what? For Kevin Durant, give me two of your big three, and you know what? Throw in some picks." I am conflicted and confused about what's going on here. Secondly, Matt, I want to come to your defense a little bit because I think it was Buffalo who said Boston fans thought we were going to the finals for a long time. That's not true because in January after we lost to the Knicks, I'll be completely honest. I was looking at Ime sideways. I was like, I'm sick and tired of this losing. Like we've had this core together for a real long time. How come we can't get it together? Things like that. I did not expect the Boston Celtics to go to the finals back in December. That is not true. But to be honest with you, I do not want, and I also agree with that as my last point. I do not want to give up Marcus Smart in this trade whatsoever. I know Daniel Artest was talking earlier. It's Kevin Durant. If you want Kevin Durant, you get Kevin Durant. We just went to the finals and we just swept the Nets. Like I don't. To be honest with you, I don't want to give up Marcus Smart in that just because. More importantly, of who the backup is, and no offense to Peyton Pritchard, come on, I don't want any Peyton Pritchard hate. I love Peyton
Why
Pritchard, I
y'all
really
hate
do.
on Peyton Pritchard so hard?
He has some nasty step backs and things like that. You know, I was hollering at Peyton Pritchard in my living room, losing my voice. My landlord was calling me.
He's also 5'3".
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was about to say it's
exactly.
not that nasty. He's close to the ground. It just looks that way.
Yeah. I think. Listen,
Okay, I'm
So
making.
to respond to kind of what you said though, I said when I said months ago, I said like when the playoffs started. I wasn't really talking about December when y'all were struggling. I'm talking about when y'all came and y'all after y'all had your resurgence and the playoffs started. I saw a lot of Boston Celtics fans that thought they could win a championship, and I'm not a Boston Celtics fan. I thought they could win a championship, and that's what I meant. I didn't mean at the beginning of the season.
okay.
I
Well,
said once you
even
guys.
go right. Even I
So
wanted all
so
the smoke with Nets, but to be honest with
can
you, I didn't think the
can I
Celtics were going to
counter
sweep
that
them.
real quick though? Can I counter that real quick
Go,
to
go
your
ahead,
to your
go
Absolutely.
ahead,
point
Nat.
though,
Go ahead,
right?
Nat. Go ahead, Nat.
Because number one, right, I've been in these spaces for a long time. Chris has me recorded. I actually said that I actually thought Miami was going to beat us.
It
And
was.
the reason why I said Miami was because they built their team with guard depth. And it's something that we did not do. And I thought that their bench would overcome ours. Then when we did beat them, I said, okay, we outlasted them. But then when we got to the finals, Chris asked me, who do you think is going to win? And I said, my heart says Boston, but I know my head and it says Golden State because I picked Golden State back in October. I think before the ball even went up in the air in the beginning of the season, I said Golden State is going back to the finals. And if they're all healthy, they're going to win. So a lot of us can see things, and we're not all with our heads up our asses saying that Boston's just gonna win every year.
I
Yeah,
get that, but you can't. But can you at least admit? I don't think it's crazy for me to say that there was a good amount of Boston
oh,
Celtics fan on the timeline that thought they could win the championship. I don't
absolutely.
think that's crazy.
But Riley and them aren't here. Like
Right? Okay, and I get that,
Uncle Celtics aren't in here, so we ain't
Right.
getting them. And like they tell them I said it because they know. Like they know. We all know who they are, right?
I get it.
We know who they are. That's why they ain't here.
But Chris, I ain't gonna lie. For the first time, for a very long time, I didn't really know what the term gaslighting meant. I kind of would lie to people and act like I knew what it meant, and I really didn't know what it meant. But y'all low key kind of gaslight me right now, making it seem like I'm crazy for saying that motherfucking Boston Celtics fans on here thought they could win a damn championship a couple months ago. Like that's something that's ridiculous. Like
No,
no, I'm not. I'm not backing off on that.
You are agreeing with me. The issue is the veracity of which you are saying it.
A very large percentage
All
of
right,
Boston
nah,
That's a
wait,
big
Celtics
wait a
ass
fans
minute,
talk
wait a
word,
minute.
bro.
crazy.
That's a big ass word.
Wait a
All
minute.
right,
As a
let me
speaker, I cannot let Buffalo do this because what you are doing from the real issue
I
that
don't
we
know.
have here. The real issue that I have with you, Buffalo, is the gassing up of Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
That's the real issue.
What
Nasty.
is
It's
what am I?
That shit
nasty.
Okay,
was
so
nasty.
lastly, okay, just to end this all before I hop off and I start my work. All right, listen, Chris, you are my witness. When I first hopped on here, I said Jaylen Brown for KD, you got to make that trade. I think it's gonna happen. So point blank, period. Jaylen
Yeah.
Brown for KD. That's not what I'm arguing. My point is saying I think it's nasty that people are gonna discredit Jaylen Brown and make it seem like he's just a role player that 30 NBA teams would not be happy to have on their roster. And he's just some guy that plays next to Jason Tatum. That's not the case. If you watch the playoffs, you watch the finals, Jaylen Brown is a very good player. Is he a number one? I don't know. I haven't seen him in a number one situation.
Hey
But to
Buffalo,
act like he's
is it
just
like a
some guy
Giannis?
that you can just toss
Is
away
it
and
is it
not
like
give
a
a fuck
Giannis and a
about, it's
Chris
crazy to me.
Middleton?
You
Buffalo,
said
would you
what?
say is it like a Giannis and a Chris Middleton? Would you agree with that? Like Chris Middleton ain't no scrub, right? But he's no superstar either. Would you
If
agree
I'm
with that?
starting the team, I'd rather have Jaylen Brown and Chris Middleton, but I think that's not
Mm,
a crazy
I
thought.
think
So,
I'm not
so
gonna lie. Can we
like
stop
this is
this?
the
If I'm
easiest
starting
way.
a team, shit, we're not in a position where you're starting a team.
Yeah,
You're getting Jaylen Brown in a trade. What
I'm
you
gonna
doing?
say
I don't know. We're looking at expansion. We might have to
the
consider.
You
the
are
easiest way
nasty.
to settle
Anthony.
the easiest way to settle the Jaylen Brown debate is simply this.
Big piece agenda.
The other 29 teams' top players, how many games of one-on-one does he win? Right?
Mm,
Like, it's not scientific, but it's going to give you a barometer of how generally people view Jaylen Brown's worthiness of being a number one option. Right? If he says, if you say he beats 15 other teams number one, guess what? Jaylen Brown's the number one. But if he
I'm not
doesn't,
gonna lie, Chris.
then
You lost me, bro. That one-on-one shit do not move me worth a damn. Can you pass
so
out of a double team?
And my
I
thing is
just
too.
just a baseline gifted. It's a
I get that.
baseline. That's all.
Okay, how about this though? The OKC Thunder are building around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think Jaylen Brown better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Bro, the Oklahoma City Thunder are building around Alexei
Draft picks.
Chevsky and Chet
they
Holmgren.
driven. They build. I don't know what they building around them.
Oh, I wanna
I ain't gonna hold
Building around Victor Wembanyama. That's who they're building around.
I want to get Adam Armbrecht of Locked On Nets, ladies and gentlemen, a great daily podcast covering all things Nets. You can catch them here when they're able to speak on Spaces. You can also catch it on YouTube and where all podcasts pod. Adam, what are your thoughts? Like again, even if this is quote an old trade, this is a new disclosure. I love how people say, "Oh, it's old," but it's not old if it breaks new. Nobody knew about it until 2:30 this morning. What we got?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, great energy in the spaces today, man. This is a fun one just to be sitting back and listening on. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter if it's old or not. I think the reason why this comes out now from a Brooklyn Nets perspective is this is Sean Marks sending out, hey, there's a team now, regardless of whether or not that they push back and say we want more and we want four players or we want to do some draft picks and swaps, whatever it may be. But here's a player, Jaylen Brown, whatever level you think he is, to number one, otherwise. Here's a quality, established young talent that we've got Boston saying they're willing to part ways with him. They're willing to add in another player. Maybe we can push back and forth here and end up getting I'm calling him a cornerstone piece, not as a number one, but just as a guy that can be a big part of what you do going forward if you're the Brooklyn Nets or any franchise. It's to get other teams back at the table. Like Boston is not the most attractive trade partner for the Brooklyn Nets. But if you can get, whether it's the Toronto Raptors, Scotty Barnes, or otherwise, whether it's the Pelicans, we've heard about Ingram. No, Pelicans wouldn't want to do that. Okay, but if you can set a baseline that there are teams out there willing to put together a player and pick package for Kevin Durant, you're trying to drum this thing back up. Because whatever version of Rudy Gobert, 6 picks, okay, that means it takes 30 to get Kevin Durant. Well, we know that's not going to happen. But Sean Marks is trying to establish and pull teams back to the table around Kevin Durant and try to get a few interested parties. They're saying, okay, if that's the package there, then what do we have to do to get it? Because before that point, you think about Phoenix, they're sitting there saying, well, where are you going? you got to look at us saying we want to give you Cam Johnson and Bridges and maybe something else, whatever. And that's the best deal that you're going to get. Go find me another better offer. That's what's happening now. It's, hey, here are other offers that have been in discussion. And we, Sean Marks, and we've said no to this initial offer from Boston. We've said no to this one. So you have to come over top of that in order to pique our interest.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% that this is what it is. It's to bring other people back to the table because originally they overstated their position.
Of
right?
course. Yeah, of course. And you expect them to. And by the way, if you're Boston, like, I think any team should be willing to look at what it costs to get Kevin Durant and what it means for your window. But I talked with John Corrales, who covers the Celtics. You know, he said it's a real push and pull because you did just go to the finals and you do have this young nucleus. Now, does adding Kevin Durant kick open whatever the shorter window is much wider? Of course it does. But the more successful teams, it's like when you heard Golden State getting mentioned in it. Well, Golden State has a very comfortable position to be in. We've won championships. We don't need to go down this road. We could go down this road. Boston very quickly went from, as they were saying before, by the time you get towards the back end and they're turning around, it's great, and then you go on this run. But start of the season, you weren't sure which direction things were going to go for Boston. Now, all of a sudden, you look at it and you say, we have a lot of attractive pieces. We have a nice core. We know we're going to be competitive. Are we championship level over these next 2-3 years? Maybe not. But we can be a little bit more patient in what the move might be. Kevin Durant or otherwise, that we might put Jaylen Brown into a package for because it elevates our team. So, desperate teams are a little bit different around these conversations too. And Boston is an odd one because they don't necessarily line up for a couple of different reasons, short of, Kevin Durant makes any team he goes to better and makes them the likely championship favorite.
I kind of agree. I think it would, especially knowing the fact that they still have the room to make either a second move prior to the beginning of the training camp or a cleanup move towards the trading deadline. I want to get Tim in here. Tim, thanks for your patience. You've got a Boston Red Sox PFP. So first, I'm sorry for the shellacking the Blue Jays gave you. And then second, sorry that your second best player is now back in trade rumors. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Brown to Brooklyn for KD?
I do not understand 90% of this fan base and the dick riding they do for Jaylen Brown after he dropped 36 points in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I got people telling me he's better than Donovan fucking Mitchell. I got people telling me he's not worth Kevin Durant, and I do not understand where this fan base is coming from right now. And I'm just frustrated and need to get that out.
I feel it in your voice. Let me ask you a question. Prior to this announcement, how did you grade the offseason that Brad Stevens put together?
I had them at an A- because I felt like they improved in all the areas they needed to improve in. And my uncle, he's a big Celtics fan too, so we talk Celtics ball all the time. And I said what could push them to an A or an A+ is sending out a good trade package for Kevin Durant. And I've been wanting KD because he is miles better than Jaylen Brown could ever imagine of being, even at 33. What is he, 33, 34?
He's 34.
Yeah, still better than Jaylen Brown could ever be. I don't see that much in Jaylen Brown. Like, he's a great second option, but I don't think he could ever lead a team by himself. But only time will tell now, apparently.
Man, I feel so bad for you that I almost want to buy you a cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, but the coffee is trash.
Yo, I like him, Chris.
Stop shitting on Dunkin'.
Shout out
I like him, Chris.
Yeah,
just in case Jaylen Brown's burner is in here, because he's on Twitter a lot in the past 10 minutes.
Him a follow back, man. No, they're all on Twitter a lot, bro.
Like, he's in here with his burners somewhere. So
I think it's really ironic how we're going to highlight Jaylen Brown's burners before Kevin Durant's, but that's just me.
KD
today is fucking hilarious. This is a great day.
About KD's burners.
Yo, can I just ask you guys the question? Do you guys think Jaylen Brown's better than Donovan Mitchell?
Hell no. I don't think he's better, but I still don't want Donovan Mitchell.
I mean, you know what? That's an interesting question. I actually think they're two entirely different players. If you are a more perimeter centric team, you're going to favor Donovan Mitchell. If you want a player to be able to hit open threes, then but attack the rim at a more consistent rate long term, I think you go, Jaylen Brown.
And fumble the ball out of the bounds.
Oh
Well,
God,
Mitchell's a better player, but I'd rather have Jaylen Brown on my team, right? Like, I mean, that's like the fair thing to say. Like, I know how good Donovan Mitchell is, but we've talked about it with the Nets. Like, I don't want him coming back as the new cornerstone of the Brooklyn Nets franchise. That doesn't move me. We talked about guard play in these spaces before.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, Adam, I get where you're coming from, but in Boston, Donovan Mitchell would literally be a number 2. Imagine him as a number 2 compared to Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. If you're talking about, I mean, listen, objectively about improving Boston's chances and putting Mitchell there with Tatum, that's a different conversation. But it's just like, if it's me, I don't want. Again, you have Tatum in Boston. I don't want Donovan Mitchell being the number 1. So you're talking about being a number 2 on a team or a 1A on a team. That's a different conversation. But Donovan Mitchell as your best player is not an attractive, franchise building model for me.
I do think there's an element, if you're going to stay heliocentric, right? If you're going to stay isolation heavy, that allows Tatum and Mitchell maybe to work better than Jaylen and Tatum. But, man, I can't imagine Boston wants to maintain this high isolation usage rate. Like, it can't be something they've tried to move away from it this offseason. I would assume that going forward, the whole point of adding Malcolm Brogdon is to move further away from it and continue putting Ime's offense into place. Like, the Mitchell thing doesn't make any sense to me at all.
In a vacuum, it doesn't, right? Like, I put out a joke tweet about the 16 trade, turning the league into 2K, but this is more of a byproduct of the actual financials of the league, how we're ending the end of the CBA. And what I think one thing that we're not really talking about, and a lot of it is because most of, and I'm going to say y'all because I'm a nerd, most of y'all aren't as nerd-like as those who are looking into the CBA saying, and I said this when they signed it, that come 2 years, a year before they can opt out, that it's going to be just pure shit.
You were underestimating my followers and the Think Peace Agenda gang, okay? We all listen and read Larry Coons' analysis of the CBA.
Talk about it.
We all listen and follow Larry Coons. Think Peace Agenda is strong out here, Chris.
See, I'm that's my key. That's my cue to move on that. Look, I've got 4 people with hands up. I'm gonna hit these 4 people. Next up, we're gonna go to Derek Stein, our friend, a fellow Sixers fan, co-host of All Things Anime, host of the Not Just Dribble Pod. He's got a poll out there for you to answer as well. And I just want to let everybody know in 17 minutes, whether all of these people have spoken or not, we are doing trivia, damn it. I've been waiting to do it, and I pushed it off. I am not letting Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown trade talks push trivia off. We're going to do trivia. Derek, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Appreciate you using the Jumbotron. There is the poll up there. This is a great morning. I got to agree. This has been a spicy conversation to listen to. As a non-Boston Celtics fan, I don't want to go as far to say avid hater, but, disapprover, if you will. I think I'd rather see Kevin Durant in the Celtics because I think that hurts them long-term. I think that honestly hurts them more long-term than it does help. Kevin Durant's obviously better than Jaylen Brown. He would be the best player on the Celtics, bottom line. Yes, that includes Jason Tatum. I just think the fit, honestly, doesn't make sense long-term. Jaylen Brown's 25. I get it. His handle is that of an AAU player at times, but I still think he helps the team more long-term and fits the system they currently have. Do I expect Kevin Durant to play hard on defense for the next 2 to 3 years? I'm not so sure. Do I expect Kevin Durant to be healthy for the next 2 to 3 years? That might be asking a lot of a 34-year-old who has had 2 lower body injuries already in his career. Also, the Celtics did get better this offseason. I understand there's a lot of Celtics fans in here and that are listening. If I'm not mistaken, you guys had a terrific offseason. I think adding Brogdon, despite his injury woes, is a great addition. So why not run it back with a team that was just in the NBA Finals? You only lost to a team that happens to be the dynasty of this decade. I'd feel pretty good about running it back with the squad you have. So I think that, to Adam's point and to others, I think this is a ploy by the Nets to try and bring more buyers back in. I agree. A guy like Scotty Barnes is probably what they're eyeing up. So I enjoy the NBA conspiracy of Marks just trying to play 3D chess. But just looking at it from a Boston perspective, I don't understand why I would entertain Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, 3 first, and a potential another player when I already have a championship team here. You already have the core. Just run it back. And I know it takes a lot, but just be patient, because I think most of us believe the Celtics will have a banner in the next 5 years. Thanks.
All right.
I just want to say shout out to Derek. I'm very upset that this Jaylen Brown shit happened the literal day after we did the locker room yesterday. This would have been a much more interesting conversation. I'm very sick about that.
For those who are asking about the LeBron scoring, that's the luck-adjusted player estimated using a box prior regularized on and off. That is
okay. But what's his Draymond?
Exactly. What's his Draymond though?
I don't know. What's his new podcast name?
The new media.
All right. We've got I gotta get Nat back up here. We've got Micah next. Micah, what's good? And then we're gonna go to Flash. We'll close this up with hooks, and then hopefully we'll get ready for trivia. Micah, what's up?
I mean, the way I'm looking at it, so even if it was a 3D, and you're saying if Brooklyn is saying we're not willing to take a young all-star, maybe a defensive player of the year or whatever, the only thing they're signaling to the league is we're ready to deal with uncomfortable KD and just see what happens. That's how I see it, because they're not getting a better trade package than that. It's just not going to happen. Like, so if they're telling Boston no, they're telling everybody no.
Yeah, I think them telling Boston no, if this is a previous negotiation, again, this is trying to stir more people up. It also might be a direct play by Marks to say, hey, there wasn't anything better. Let's see if we got this back. Adam, real quick to you. Do you think that's a Marks style play? Because I don't really think it is. You think this is just kind of like overt, quiet negotiation with Brad Stevens? Man.
Oh shit! Was it me? Was it me? Was it me?
No, wasn't you.
Oh, okay.
I hate to see it. Flash, go ahead. What's up?
What's up, man? So I just want to get 2 baselines down. So what's been said is that the package that has been put out is enough for KD, but in the same sense, Jaylen Brown's a role player. I don't think those 2 statements can coexist. I don't think you can trade 2 role players and a bunch of picks for a top 3 player in the NBA right now. So I think Jaylen Brown's a star, and I think that being enough would fit in line with that. But as a Sixers fan, I'm kind of glad we're flying under the radar, because you were hearing Boston be involved, Raptors be involved, all these teams be involved, and I haven't even heard Tobias' name in trade talks. So I think we're flying under the radar, and we're kind of chilling right now.
Look, I said this when this all started, that Philadelphia had one offer only. It would not change. Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, multiple first. That's it. Brooklyn knows Philly's offer. It hasn't changed since day one.
Chris, I thought you liked Matisse Thybulle.
I do. I like Kevin Durant.
Oh, okay. Because
you clearly don't like Kevin Durant if that's your package.
Well, this is the thing. Last year, remember when he was like really heavy on Matisse Thybulle, and it's like he does not look good out there. Like, what do you think his ceiling is?
Bruce Bowen that can shoot better corner threes.
Okay, I'm gonna watch out for that then.
Yeah, like I think he's a more natural defender than Bruce. I think he's also more physically gifted. than Bruce. And if he just gets those corner threes down, that's all they ever needed him to do in the first place.
Yeah, I
Oh,
like his
Glam Fun, we
defense.
need you to
I'll say
request
that.
up, Glam Fun. I gotta hear from Glam on this Nat.
Here we
I,
go.
I
Here
know
we
Glam's
go.
sick down there, boy.
All right, Hooks, go ahead and hop back in here. You've had some tech difficulties. What you got?
Yeah, so no, I think there's some interesting points here. I really think that it's really interesting what the Nets are trying to do because it sort of seemed like, and I'm just talking from the Nets standpoint, it kind of seemed to me like they were going to go into the season trying to keep things as packaged well as they can be together, and try to convince KD to play and see if, maybe if the Suns get desperate in January or something along that line. So this kind of kicking up has really kind of caught me off guard. If the Celtics are going to try and get a little bit more serious, and I'm curious if we do get a little bit more heat on it. But I mean, the ultimate thing I think I have is, as you can see, even from the Celtics fans here, there's been a lot of split on what JB's actual value is. And I think a little bit of that is maybe why he's been hesitant to commit to the Celtics past 2024, and maybe that's pushing some of this drive as well. And I know people are sitting here saying, "Oh, why is Marcus Smart being like the holdup for a lot of the Celtics trades?" But I think at a certain point, roster construction with what we've seen the last few years, where you can have two all-stars and then the right pieces around them are basically the way you need to win. And I think that's what the Celtics have right now, and they're trying to be really, really careful not to lose that to build two stars and then a lot of loss of depth. So the only thing I have to say on that is I guess we'll see how things go, but I'm very curious to see what the Nets' current plan is right now.
All right, yeah. Hopefully Adam is back, and maybe Adam can tell us that if he is back. If not, we're gonna go.
What did I
Okay,
miss? I heard a buzzer. Was that
you
me?
you
Did
you
I
you
get
you
hit?
yeah you missed the lose. You got the horns, bro.
Jesus, God, I'm embarrassed.
Bad luck, man.
What
Bad
was
luck.
what is it worth? What was the first one that I missed?
The question was, could this be a Marks play to signal to Brad Stevens that he screwed up and he wants to restart the negotiations? If this was indeed something that was months ago.
Yeah, I mean, screwed. I think screwed up is a heavy term for any team involved in negotiations like these, right? Someone says Kevin Durant makes a trade request, someone puts out an offer, you go, you know what, I want everything. That's not a screw up. He's Kevin Durant. So teams walk away from that and it gets a little bit quieter. You come back to the table and you say, I see where the market is. I'm revisiting it. I still stand by. I think this is to drum up other interest from other teams and around other players that the Nets want to get. The Nets be more interested in getting, especially if you think about, let's use Scotty Barnes, which at the time of the Toronto speculation was like, that's what the Brooklyn Nets are after. So if now it's not about, as whether Nets fans or otherwise, well, it's OG and it's Trent Jr. and it's Scotty Barnes and it's 6 first-round picks and it's swaps and all, and it's Ken Burch and all this. Well, now maybe it's Scotty Barnes and Trent Jr. and, some picks or some swaps. Like now if that package isn't as heavy from the Toronto side, and I'm not saying whether it's the perfect deal or not, but all of a sudden if you're saying Kevin Durant and Siakam and OG are still there on that team, well, that looks a lot different going forward, right, than stripping your roster of that. And just to the point about where we think that the Nets are as opposed to waiting into the season, which I think that's both a viable option and also a big risk because people have mentioned, okay, Kevin Durant, a little bit older. I think we're maybe over-exaggerating that he's on, his age. Remember, missed an entire season, came back, missed some games again with another small injury this past season. But in terms of wear and tear on a body that has had injuries, he's also had, 2 seasons less wear and tear and hasn't been playing in the playoffs, thankfully, for the Brooklyn Nets since his time here. So he probably has a lot more left than people maybe want to give the sense to. But the risk of going into the season is, what if Kevin Durant picks up even a little injury and misses 15, is going to miss 15 or 20 games? I think the health factor is a part of where Brooklyn is now too, of saying, if there is a move to make, the ideal version is doing it sooner than later. If we wait into the season and we get more desperate teams, okay, so be it. But as my co-host Doug Norrie pointed out on the podcast, the Nets this can be a tankable year for the Nets based on the way the picks and where they've been allocated to. This doesn't have to be a got to stay competitive because you lost all your assets to Houston, etc. So if that's the model, then you can look at it and say, getting this deal done sooner than later, going in with a bunch of random pieces and Royce O'Neal and TJ Warren and the young guys and whoever you get back in these trades, the bar is not going to be, we have to stay competitive this year for the impact on our draft capital. We can look another year down the road to that, and that changes it a little bit too.
All right. I want to get Derek in here. Derek, as a Sixers fan, what team do you want Kevin Durant on? Not as a Sixers, but as an opponent. Would you rather him be stuck in Brooklyn, or do you want to see him in Boston?
I think I'd rather see him stuck in Brooklyn. That's my prediction. I think, and sorry, Adam and other Nets fans, I think he is going to be stuck in Brooklyn. I firmly believe Kevin Durant will get to the start of the season and the front office will approach him and ask him about the trade. He is going to pretend that he did not request a trade and is going to say that they just wasted their last 3 months. So I firmly believe KD will be a Brooklyn Net and pretend none of this ever happened.
Well, by the way, you don't have to say sorry. Kevin Durant staying a Brooklyn Net is the best thing for the Brooklyn Nets, right? Like, if that's the worst case scenario for Brooklyn, they end up keeping their superstar on his 4-year contract and then can explore what else they can do and what else they can accomplish, right? So nothing would surprise me, but again, it just, if these packages start getting talked about where it's not stripping the team that he is going to, all of a sudden that can become much more attractive, not just, for the team that's making the trade, but also for Kevin Durant, because then he's going to a place where they are going to be the top contender in a given conference.
And speaking of a top contender in a given conference, that brings us to Tony. The Miami Heat were the top team in the conference in the East last year, and they had been linked to either Kyrie or KD trade. The news was that they'd have to include Bam Adebayo if they had any shot at getting Kevin Durant. Does any of this news change your mind and the minds of the Heat fans on Heat Twitter?
That's not possible, by the way, Chris, because of Ben Simmons being on that roster. They'd have to trade Ben Simmons just to get Bam.
Yeah, the difficulty that's involved to trade Bam Adebayo to the Nets, like, I feel like people downplay the idea of a 3, 4, 5 team trade. Like, that is an incredible feat to get that many GMs on board, moving assets around to make that kind of thing possible. I do think this kind of takes Miami and puts them in a new place. Without draft capital, we were hoping that if there was KD discussion, that a young asset and pieces would be enough to make a deal happen, and maybe we could get a third team playing ball to move a player there to create some more draft capital for the Nets. If Jaylen Brown is a guy, and again, this is what makes Think Piece Agenda to me so interesting today. If Jaylen Brown isn't the guy, if that's not the player, I don't think that Tyler Hero's the player, and Omer Yurtseven. I don't think those are guys that will move the needle for the Nets. And if they're playing a long game and he is there with the Nets, like Derek alluded to, and Adam, would be happy about, what kind of pressure does the deadline put on the Nets if KD isn't playing ball? Like, literally not playing ball. There's elements to this that I just want to hit a fast forward button on to see how this is all going to play out. But just from a pure Miami perspective, yeah, we're distancing ourselves now with this in the context. But again, this is an old report, and as far as I know, Miami's pursuit on Kevin Durant hasn't stopped. It's one of the reasons that no trades have been made and no acquisitions have been pursued for Miami. They probably legitimately see this as a possibility. So whether they're right in that perspective or not, I have to figure that there's something grounding them there. There has to be some conversation, some kind of talk. But yeah, in my head, it distanced the team further from making a deal like that. I don't know how they would make that possible. It would need to be a 3-team or larger trade to accompany draft capital, moving Tyler Hero somewhere, maybe OKC to acquire 2 picks, a pick, something that the Nets would like. That's how that deal would have to get done if it gets done on Miami's end.
All right, go ahead, Adam. 30 seconds, and we'll let this out.
Yeah, just quickly on the Ben Simmons piece. It's like we're talking about Miami. That's the hardest component because, the Brooklyn Nets haven't even gotten to see what Ben Simmons can be, let alone just have his value be at a higher level if you're going to jettison him. So, dumping Ben Simmons off to a team in order to acquire Bam Adebayo, it's like, we all get what Bam is, but you're not moving the needle for your franchise in the grand scheme of things by just jettisoning assets at their lowest point. So it's an interesting component to it. And Tyler Hero never was for me a needle mover, and he's not going to be at this point either.
It never was.
All right, Nat, close us out for this segment, and then we're going to go ahead and hit the button for trivia.
Absolutely. So before I close this out, Tony, just in a yes or no, are you okay with trading Bam in order to get Kevin Durant taking over your power forward position?
No, second best player in the NBA. You do what you need to.
Okay, so I just wanted to say how much that I love Tony because I think he's so realistic and honest, and he's the most honest and
No,
realistic
but Nat,
Miami
you let him
fan.
slide. He did not answer the question. Yes
Yes,
or
he
no?
did. Yes, he did.
Yes
He
or
did.
I
no?
did.
No,
Yes.
no, he didn't.
Yes. The answer
Okay,
is
yes.
yes.
Okay.
He did.
There you go.
I understand Tony talk. He said yes. Like, that's okay.
Nah, I know Tony because he be pump faking his shit. I just had to make sure he
didn't
said
pump
yes.
fake.
Okay.
He's trying to make sure that he doesn't get exiled from Miami Heat Twitter.
That is correct.
So he answered, listen, you got to speak Tony. I understand why he talks the way he does, but he answered the question. But going back to this, Jaylen Brown, KD stuff or whatever, you do what you have to get a guy like that on your squad. But in that being said, I'm still going to say no smart in that for me. And that's only because even though I know it probably is going to happen if it does, it's only me, fearing the 5'2", 5'3" Peyton Pritchard showing up on a court for 10 to 12 minutes a game and me just losing all my hair because I'm just so upset.
Peyton Pritchard.
Oh, my God. But listen, but also, Chris, I had a question.
Yeah.
We know that Harden was not healthy. He hasn't been healthy the past couple of seasons. Harden is one of the players everyone loves to hate on, and they forget what this man is. If he's healthy, and he looks good this offseason, he's lost a lot of weight. Are you excited about the moves that you've made, and do you think that gets you closer to maybe advancing in the playoffs?
No, we are another move away. It'll come at the trade deadline.
Awesome.
Harden will be an All-NBA player next season. I
He will.
bet $50 on it with somebody.
And when Harden comes back and he plays a lot better, I'm coming for all of y'all Harden haters. I promise you. I remember your faces.
He will. I have Harden making the all too early All NBA second team. I don't think he beats out two people, one of them being Steph Curry. All right. Hey, there's a Laker.
Over Victor Oladipo? That's kind of crazy.
You know what?
It's not a think piece, Tony.
Yeah, not a think piece, man. Lost the point on that one.
See what think pieces do to you?
We got some time for some Lakers talk in this because I think this also opens up a Westbrook trade and a Kyrie trade. But up next, we've got game show stuff like trivia, NBA trivia that we promised you, ladies and gentlemen. We promised this to you like back in December. That was when we were still using Family Feud. We can't use that any longer because over on YouTube, they have these things called copyright policies. And, if we put it on there, it wouldn't be public. But I found this snazzy 70s theme, and it's completely copyright free, and we can use it. And our co-host here for trivia, Hoop Spaces Ryan, is now here and ready to give you what you have been missing. Ryan, are you there?
I am here. How's it going, Chris?
It's going phenomenal. I can't tell you. Like, we needed this. Thank you to Shams and Woj.
I'm happy to be here. I put some instructions up at the top or some rules. Hopefully that will help, but we can go over them real quick.
Absolutely. Look, normally we clear the stage here, and I think that's what we're going to do. But in order to do that, we need everybody to put their hands down. And then we're going to clear the stage of everybody. And then that way we can actually get 3 contestants, right? Because we're doing 3 contestants. That's how this rolls. What do we got, Ryan, for the rules?
All right. For the rules, we're going to actually, clear the stage because I do have a question that we're going to ask to bring people back up. And for the rules, we're going to have 3 people on stage at a time. We're going to ask some questions. The first to 3 points is going to win that round. When we ask the question, Everyone's going to get a chance to answer. Their name is going to be their buzzer. I'll go into that a little more once we have people on stage. If no one gets an answer correct, then we're going to toss the question to the audience and give the audience a chance to steal a spot on stage by answering correctly. If two contestants are tied, however, the audience will get a chance to choose who to replace. Otherwise, the audience member will take the lowest spot on stage or the lowest point total on stage. Does that all make sense, Chris? Did I cover that correctly?
Yep, and we did that so we can make the game a little bit more fair because, look, let's be honest, if somebody has 2 points, you're going to choose the 2 point and win the game. And although I find that hilarious and funny, we thought maybe you wouldn't. And so that's why we have it this way. I like it, Ryan.
All right, today's question to get up on stage. Are we ready for this, Chris?
Oh, we are.
All right, and to answer this question, don't raise your hand until I'm done asking the question. There are 6 players in NBA history who have more than 15,000 rebounds. Name one of them to get up on stage.
All right. 6 players with over 15,000 rebounds. If you want to come up on stage to play some NBA trivia to win a prize, raise your hand. We have Bad Guy up first. Bad Guy, your player. Bad Guy, you there?
We'll give him a second to connect.
All right. I thought he connected. It sounded like it connected in my head. All right. We'll go to the next one up. What's up, Renizzle?
Yeah, good. I'm going to go with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Hakeem Olajuwon does not have over 15,000 rebounds. I'm sorry.
Damn.
So sorry.
The dream is over.
The dream didn't even start. That's killer right there. Kurt Angle and David Blizz. We got Bad Guy. So Kurt Angle, you're up.
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan has 15,091 rebounds. Congratulations. You're player number 1. Go ahead and mute for now.
All right. Bad Guy's up next. He had some technical difficulties. Is he up yet? Bad Guy. Nope, that would be the wrong answer, Bad Guy. All right, we have with us where Brooklyn at? Brooklyn, give us a player.
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman does not have 15,000 rebounds. Sorry.
Man, that's such a shame. Manny, help us out. We are not starting.
I'm gonna say Karl Malone.
Karl Malone, excellent guess. However, Karl Malone does not have 15,000 rebounds.
Man, all of you are like seriously hurting my feelings. All of you go to timeout. TJ, raise your hand again. My fault. Tejsh, what's up? Help us out. People are hurting us. Our feelings are hurt. Like, I'm just going to put a whole bunch of people
I got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Chris.
Yeah, okay. Kareem, all right. TJ.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain, yes.
Derek beat you pickup. I'm sorry. Derek.
Can I get Bill Russell?
Bill Russell, yes.
All right. So we've got our players. For those who are not on stage, stop raising your hand. Get ready to come up for a steal. That's what we need. All right. Sorry, I got to move you down, pickup card game, which, by the way, is a shame because we would have used that time to plug the outstanding pickup card game, which you can find at slamgoods.com. He's actually in the middle of a summertime swing, going to different tournaments, expressing his love for basketball. All right, Ryan, we got our 3 players, Bad Guy, TJ, Derek, Stein. Floor is yours.
All right, Bad Guy, TJ, and Derek. Thank you very much for playing. Everyone else, hands down in the audience. The reason for that is we're going to need to have you shoot your hands up for a steal if Bad Guy, TJ, and Derek do not get the question right. Now, for Bad Guy, TJ, and Derek, we're going to play this with all of you mics open. The reason for that is your name is your buzzer. When I start asking questions, the first one to say their name is buzzing in, and I will stop and allow you to answer the question. Does everybody understand how we're going to play this?
Yeah. Yes.
Got it.
All right. Everybody ready for the first question?
Yep.
All right. Your first question is about the recent season that just ended. Nikola Jokic led the league in triple doubles in the 2021-22 season with 19. Who had the second most?
Russell Westbrook.
Again, chime in with your name.
Bad guy.
Bad guy, go ahead.
Russell Westbrook.
That is incorrect.
Derek, TJ, anybody?
Yeah, no pondering.
Bad guy.
We already had you go once. You only get one shot.
Derek, I'll say Luka Doncic.
That is incorrect. TJ, you want to take a shot?
Nope.
All right, this goes to the audience for a steal.
All right, ask the question one more time, Ryan. Audience members, listen up and get ready to raise your hands after the question for your chance to steal.
Nikola Jokic led the league in triple doubles in the 2021-22 season with 19. Who had the second most?
All right, now y'all can raise your hand. Now will be the time to raise your hand. There you go. We got our first guy. All right, TD's coming up. TD, congratulations. You have a chance to steal. TD, what do you have?
The guy that came to my team, DeJounte Murray.
Ding, ding. That is correct.
All right, you have 1 point, and TD, you get to choose who goes down.
Who was the one that didn't even give an answer?
TJ.
No, that was me.
TJ, last words.
This was fun. At least I got a ball.
Yep. I knew I was going to get him. All right, we are ready for question number 2.
All right, question number 2. Who holds the single game record for the most blocks? Your
Bad
name
guy.
is your buzzer. Bad guy, go ahead.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
That is incorrect.
Derek, Will Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain is incorrect.
Tejsh. Dang, I feel like it's someone that's like random. Kareem. Wait, did someone say Kareem?
That is incorrect.
All right, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, it is your time to steal. Ryan's going to ask the question one more time. That's when you raise your hand.
All right, hands down, everybody. The question is, who holds the single game record for the most blocks?
All right. TJ's going to come up with a chance to steal. TJ.
Oh, snaps. George Muresan is crazy.
George, Ryan, are you there?
I'm here.
Is that correct?
I didn't hear the answer. I'm sorry.
George Muresan.
That is incorrect.
Man, if you had George Muresan on your Hoop Spaces bingo card, give yourself a point. All right, pickup card game is up next. Pick up. Oh, of course, he's not connecting. Man, I tell you, Twitter's messing up today. Shout out to the best in social drop-in audio. He's down below. Shoot him a follow. Pickup card game. Your answer.
I am going to go with the great Dikembe Mutombo.
Dikembe Mutombo is incorrect.
Make sure you go over to slamgoods.com to go ahead and check out the pickup card game. I promise you, he'll be back up later. Up next is going to be Drew Cosby Jr., ladies and gentlemen. Drew Cosby Jr. is connecting, and he will give us an answer to the question, who is the single most leader in blocks in the game? Correct, Ryan?
Drew Cosby is incorrect.
Well, he hasn't said anything yet. Drew, your answer.
Oh, sorry.
5, 4, 3, 2. Man, this is not going the way we thought it was going to go today. 30 and dubs. Make me have to play some music again. I'm getting sad. I'm not even going to play I need to stop that one. I didn't want that one. There you go. 30 and dubs, man. Steele. What's the answer?
Is it Ernest? Not Otis Gilmore.
Not Otis Gilmore. Nope.
Yeah.
Good guess. All right. Next will be Manny. And then after that's JFK. Manny, please save us.
Shout out to Bleed Green. It's Bill Russell.
Bill Russell is incorrect.
You know, this song is really needed.
Shall we move on?
God, JFK. I'm ready to get one more wrong answer. Go ahead, JF. Give us another wrong answer.
All right, here's my wrong answer. My new bowl.
Manute Bol. I will accept Manute Bol because I was going to accept two answers.
Let's go, bad guy.
Manute Bol is tied with Shaquille O'Neal with 15 blocks if we're going since the 83-84 season on basketballreference.com. So I'm going to take that as a correct answer.
What about Elmore Smith? How many blocks did he get?
Elmore Smith is the other correct answer if you're going all the way back to 73, which would not have shown up on basketballreference.com. Those are the two correct answers I would have taken.
Post-ABA.
All right. Well, congratulations, JF. You can choose who you want to go down. Bad Guy, Derek, or TD.
I'll holler at you, bad guy. Go have a nice day. Enjoy your Monday.
My man.
All right. We've got a 1-1 score with JF and TD. Derek Stein, the lone man with the original 3 with a goose egg. Derek, not looking good for you, brother. Not looking good.
All right, appreciate that vote of confidence, Chris. Can't wait.
Remember, gentlemen, your voice is your buzzer. Please have your mics off. Everybody with your hands up. Go ahead and keep them up because I'm not going to bring you up anyway because I've got a good memory like an elephant. Ryan, next question.
All right, I think we need to take this down a level to like a slightly easier thing. So why don't we go with what number did Carmelo Anthony wear when he played for the Denver Nuggets?
Derek.
JF.
That was Derek.
15.
That is correct.
All right, we got a tie game, 1 apiece, all 3.
Hey, Chris, I only got it because of your vote of confidence. So, appreciate it.
I'm here for you.
All right, moving on. I think we found the level of question we need to ask now.
That's tough.
All right, next question. This team previously played their home games at an arena nicknamed The Q.
JF.
Derek. JF got that.
JF.
Yeah. Cleveland Cavaliers.
Correct. The Cleveland Cavaliers at Quicken Loans Arena.
All right, we've got 2 1-1. JF is on the verge of winning, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Maybe I should. Those were a little easy, right?
Yeah, those are good. Those are good and easy. I mean, we are still 3, 4, 5, 4, 12. We're doing bad.
How about we go to the recent season again? How about we go with how many players ended the 2021-2022 season averaging both 7+ rebounds and 7+ assists?
You said how many players?
How many players ended the most recent season averaging both 7 or more rebounds and 7 or more assists?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say 8.
Incorrect.
Derek or TD?
TD. 7+, 7+. Let's go 11.
That is incorrect.
Derek.
Go ahead.
I'll say 6.
That is correct. For bonus points, do you want to try and name some of them?
Oh, Derek with the last second heat.
Wait, just what's the fault if I don't get them all correct?
There's none. I just want to see how many you can get.
Okay. I think, let's see. Joker got it. I think Luka got it.
Yes.
I'm not sure that Braun had 7 assists this season, though.
He didn't.
Joel Embiid.
Embiid didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Joel had that, I'd be shrining Joel Embiid. Tatum didn't this season. DeJounte Murray.
That's a third.
Oh no, I'm pretty happy with 3 so far. I'll be honest.
All right, I'll give you the other 3: Harden, Westbrook, and Draymond.
Draymond, the triple single.
So disappointed that you didn't get Harden.
Look, I worry about James' points and assists, rebounds. I shouldn't have to worry about, but fair point.
All right, we have a tie game, ladies and gentlemen, between Derek Stein and JF, 2 apiece. TDs down below with 1. This could be it. This could be the game winner right here and right now.
All right. Here's your question. Mic's open. Your name is your buzzer. 5 teams have won 5 or more championships. Name all 5 franchises.
JF.
Go ahead.
You said 5 or more championships?
5 or more championships.
The Bulls, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Spurs. Bulls, Lakers, Celtics, Spurs. And the last one, give me Warriors. Goddamn.
Yes, sir.
Damn. Yeah, I was waiting.
I forgot the Warriors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and give a round of applause. JF takes the victory, a 3-2-1 victory. JF, man, go ahead and get your gloat on.
Yeah, man, you already know I'm here on my lunch break. Just have to get this dub in real quick. Took a pretty bad losses at the Jamboree I went to over in Plant City, but shouts out to Nikola Jovic. He will be the best European coming out this draft, and yeah, he coached it. Let's go.
All right, going the homer route with the 20-plus pick in the NBA draft.
27th. Don't be disrespectful.
22nd or 27th?
Where did Tyrese Maxey go? Same one, I think.
I can't remember.
21st for Tyrese Maxey.
Oh. Close.
See, if only that was the trivia question, I would have golden.
Shout out to JF though. He dominated trivia when the pickup card game was hosting and sponsoring it during the NBA Finals. He actually won 2 editions of the pickup card game. So shout out to JF Cake and the pickup card game, which you can find over at slamgoods.com, which is a derivative of Slam Magazine. And if you are a basketball fan of a particular age, I have to assume that you've heard of Slam Magazine. Slamgoods.com is their actual online marketplace, and they have a variety of actual things you can buy and support individual content creators such as the pickup card game. By the way, $25 for a lifetime, literally, of being able to play a game with my son was, it's worth it. It's really that simple. Ryan, man, that's dope, and we did it in under 30 minutes. What do you think?
I'm good, and I'm almost willing to let JFK go another round, but I know you got other things to talk about today, so it's up to you what you want to do. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think what will happen is that we have to have a championship round for the person who does win. So when we do eventually have that sponsored prize that, just like the Price is Right, there's a championship round.
Okay. You tell me what you want to do.
Oh, I think that you need to come up with 5 questions, and we'll ask those 5 questions. And if he gets them all right, he wins.
You want me to give him 5 questions right now?
Yeah, I think so. Are we? You know what? We should probably figure out how we're going to do the championship round. But yeah, sure. Let's give him 5. Rapid fire.
JFK, you want some extra questions?
Yeah, let's get it.
All right. Question 1. And these are only for him, right?
Yep, these are only for JF.
All right, JF. In 2015, 2016, only one team made more than 10 3-pointers per game. That was the Golden State Warriors. 6 years later, last season, how many teams made 10 or more 3-pointers per game?
That's a good question. Let's see. I'll say about. Let's go with 8.
Higher.
Yeah.
Golly. Wow. Then if it's not 8, then I'll go 12.
Higher.
God damn. 20?
Higher.
Oh hell no! I would have never got that. Past 20, I would have never got that. That's wild. I'll say
What if I told you it was every single
all the
goddamn
teams.
team?
Yeah, I figured it was gonna be all the teams. Yep.
Steph Curry, man, the impact.
If I didn't get 12, it was gonna be all the teams because that's out of hand.
You know what? I figured it out, Ryan. I figured it out. So the person who wins the trivia game wins a prize, but then they get an opportunity to elect for sudden death. Sudden death enhances the prize that they could win at the cost of losing said original prize.
Oh, like Cash Cab.
I love that show, by the way.
That's a great show.
It was awesome, bro.
There you go. So that's how we're going to do it from here on out. And if that was the case, JF just lost, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, but when you didn't say sudden death, if it was sudden death, I would have picked my choices a little bit wiser. I don't like that word, sudden death.
Well, we're workshopping in live form, so thank you, man. We appreciate it. Tony, what did you think?
At first, I was a little concerned. Think Piece Agenda was not thriving in these trivia spaces, but then it came on. It came on, and y'all got me in the second half. And I mean, I'm honestly just glad I'm back here to support and to grow this movement of Think Piece Agenda. TJ is you want to be a part of this, my man? Or JF, you want to be a part of this? You seem to be extremely knowledgeable. You seem to think things out. I would love to have you as a member of Think Piece Agenda.
Look at this.
Let's get it.
All right, we got it. So
it's funny how he openly recruits the only other Heat fan on the.
It wasn't funny. It was planned. Wasn't funny at all.
Us Heat fans just know a lot.
It's tactical.
There you go. It's tactical. All right. I like that idea, and I think we'll be doing this. What we're going to do it once a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once a week on Mondays, ladies and gentlemen. Come on through at the 12 o'clock hour. That's 9 a.m. on the West Coast. And bring your thinking brain so you can possibly win a prize. And if not, we'll just laugh at you. It'll be fun.
Ryan's deadpan delivery of every note was hilarious, by the way.
All right. I want to thank everybody who took part. And look, it carried a half-hour segment. Ryan, what did you think? And I know you'll write it up anyway. So there you go.
No, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll be honest. This trivia segment stems from, I don't know if Chris has talked a whole lot about the Benchwarmers segment, but this really was born in that with just really, really, really loving ruining people's days by bringing up facts and little trivia snippets when people would like get all emotional and like talk about one person being better than another one and then bringing up the facts to support it. It just got me to start doing trivia. And when you talk about deadpan delivery, yeah, that's who I am. That's just that's what I'm all about. So I love that you noticed it. You'll see it more and more. And if we ever get to go on Benchwarmers, I'm Benchwarmer alum extraordinaire. I'll love to get in there with someone and scrap a little bit. So thank you very much. I look forward to doing this more and more. It's what I'm here for.
All right. And just to let everybody know, if you missed out, you can always go over to YouTube and check us out, powered by audiolabs.io. And this own segment, once we get everything wrapped up, we're going to cut away, and it'll also probably be its own podcast for Hoop Spaces NBA Trivia. So there, you'll be able to look forward to that. And you know what, Ryan, what else you got for whatever? Like, you know, I wanted to ask you about your thoughts because this whole KD Boston fiasco could reopen up this idea of Westbrook to the Pacers on a 3 or 4 team to bring Kyrie Irving into Los Angeles. What do you think?
Yeah, that was the loudest sigh ever. Like all of this just is a yawn. Like I'm sorry, none of it moves the needle for me. Well, I honestly, I don't know if it's going to happen. If it happens, it happens. The one thing I will say is I think Jaylen Brown is a much better player than a lot of people are giving him credit for. There are some people that are giving him the credit, but I really believe in Jaylen Brown as a player. And if that trade were to go off, in my head, I'm thinking, man, you put Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Ben Simmons together, and I don't think Marcus Smart would be involved there, but that's a hell of a defensive team. That's a hell of a defensive core. And the Nets would actually be putting something special together. Obviously, Boston's got something good there, but I'm not going to say good things about Boston as a Laker fan. So I'm just pretty impressed with, Jaylen Brown overall as a player, more impressed than the average person. I think Kevin Durant's getting older, and that could turn out differently than a lot of people think 3 years down the line. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
I like Ryan kind of swerving on the joke that's been Ben Simmons and Jaylen Brown all day, and Ryan swerving into, well, I don't know. I think that that's a great deal to be made for the other team. So I do appreciate that perspective. I would like to now officially acknowledge Ryan as a member of Think Peace Agenda. Congratulations, Ryan. Welcome to the narrative.
Oh, look at that, man. Open recruiting and solicitation. Once again, I'm left on the sidelines.
You already got a contract with the Kings, Chris.
Bro. Hate you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody give Ryan a round of applause. Like I said, we'll be bridging out once we get a lot of things locked in. The next live workshop will be for bench warmers. I need to get with Reese Rebel 31, our girl Nat, to see when we'll be able to do that live workshop. And then the reason why we also doing it this way is like we could sit in the background and just kind of like do it by ourselves and only hear ourselves. But when we built this community, and I'm using we again, and people tell me I should use I. When I'm using we, this is everybody who came over from Clubhouse to have an opportunity to fashion a better basketball conversation, right? That was the goal here. So like the likes of Sean with a W came when I reached out for him. Hoops Faces Ryan came when I reached out to him. Reese Rebel Nat came. Malika came. And the whole idea was to create a community. And to that effect, like we've been successful. And I want to say thank you for anybody who's popped in here to listen, popped in here to share their opinions and their thoughts on a game that we all share a passion for. So with that, going back as we close out the show, and I'm closing out simply for the fact that I got other stuff I need to do. We're almost, ready for school. I want to know, everybody else, what you guys want as content. That's right, because we are entering a period where we now can plan for additional content at the beginning of the year, and we have the ability to do more. But we can all sit here and say what we want to do, but it wouldn't be fair to you, the listener and participant. So we want to hear what you might want. So to that effect, if you have an idea, go ahead, throw it out there on the Twitterverse, tag at Hoopspaces Ryan or myself, so we can get a better idea. And if you haven't joined the community yet, I'll do a better job of that because we'll be more active in there because we have somebody getting ready to come in and take over the social responsibility for that, so we can have a deep-rooted, engaged community. With that, I see JF with his hand up. JF, what you got?
Yeah, Chris, appreciate it. I mean, here's some content. This is just coming from my side. We always look at basketball season, who's playing basketball, but let's not forget that 2K is also a basketball game where a lot of people are coming to play, and they're making a name for themselves. And there's a good science behind 2K if you ever want to understand basketball more to a T. With that being said, I do have my company. It's out right now. It's called the Crib Gaming. Basically, what we're doing is interacting our community with video games. So we have our coaches. We're looking for recruits. We have our competitive players. We got the whole 9 yards. So I'll say stay on the lookout for that. We're going to have our 2K team coming up. So if you're interested in joining 2K team, just hit me up. Appreciate it, Chris.
All right. So I hear that 2K is an avenue for content. I mean, I play it sparingly. Not going to lie. I usually break the MyGM algorithm in about 2 hours. It's not difficult, unfortunately. So the game itself doesn't really entertain me as much. And then like I get on my player, and once again, like the best part of my player is workshopping the different prototypes, and like I get the prospect prototype and the back to basket pretty quickly, and after that the game's broken, and it's a waste of money for me.
Chris, maybe you need to go get a job with 2K and then go fix that GM algorithm. Because if you can break it, then there's a job for you, an
Well,
opportunity.
I'm not the only one. Ryan breaks it too. Like, and you can't fix it because they don't have the resources to put into it. It would require the same amount of resources as my team, and that's just never going to happen. Like that's where their resources are funneled is my team. So
Oh, that's facts, Chris. I mean,
yeah,
that's a moneymaker.
yeah. So unless they were willing to put the same amount of resources, which then you then have to create some type of again microtransaction system to make it work, they'll never have the amount of resources needed to put a robust my GM component together. I know that's
Chris, half these trades aren't going to go through if they fix that algorithm. But let's go. You're not going to get your KD for Tyrese Maxey. Bro. Like, come on.
Yo, like, I digress. We are joined, ladies and gentlemen, by the Pickup Card Game. Again, you can find it at slamgoods.com. What's up, man? How you doing? You back home?
Yeah, I'm back in Chapel Hill, Chris. Enjoyed my week off, and so glad to be back at work and glad to be back in the show, man. I've missed the space, and so it's good to hear the chatter going on. Let me quickly answer your question about feedback on content. I think you do a great job of interviewing folks and having a dialogue. So I would love to see like former NBA, WNBA players come on the show. I'm thinking folks like Jamal Crawford, who have tons of basketball stories, who love basketball. We kind of talked about T. Weatherspoon a few weeks ago. So I think people who are relevant in the basketball space, who might be retired players, will be great to kind of have on the show if we can. Let's have them tell stories. I think that's a fun little like NBA and WNBA players telling stories from their past or from their present. That'll be really cool.
Well, we agree, and to that effect, I had reached out earlier to the National Basketball Retired Players Association. Talked to them again this morning. They have our proposal. They are in the midst of doing things they already have agreements with. So what I'm hoping is that at some time we will be able to provide a even more robust idea of what you just said. And until we have that opportunity to sit down and give our closing pitch, so to speak, we will actually implement another strategy that we created. And actually, we had a phone call about it yesterday. So in about 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be hopefully starting to fix that problem because we agree with you. Danny, what's up? 808 is going to be so mad he missed that.
I'm sorry, talking to my husband. Chris, you had opportunity to give all the other people the damn horn today, and you didn't even do it. But that's okay.
I gave the horns out.
Okay, whatever, Chris. Whatever. I ain't gonna time play with you. Anyway, good morning. Hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. I don't know if KP here, but Marvel rules because nobody talking about that DC Comic Con panel. Free tickets to see Black Adam. Oh my God. Yeah, right. Anyway, I love the chaos this morning. I was working and just laughing and feasting off the chaos that rumor started. I'm just gonna cause more chaos. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are the two Twix bars. Which one you want, the left or the right? They both the same. I don't know why one might got a little better handles than the other, but they're still the same damn player. I don't know what the issue is. And where's the merch, Chris? Where's my hoop space merch? Where we gonna get the hats, the shirts, the coffee cups, The we call them things that hold your beer, the koozies. Where's the merch, Chris? Where is the merch? I'm ready to get rep. I'm ready to give you free advertisement. Come on, let's go.
So, when I say we, because I like using we, I created a Patreon. They have that ability. I just really have not sat down to integrate it in how I'd want to ask. I don't like the ask. That is my issue. Brian will tell you that is my issue. It's always been my issue because I tend to want to be asked. Like I want to help others. So I don't tend to ask because I don't tend to think of it. But that also is in a plan. The issue is in a longer strategic plan. My decision was to wait. And the reason why is sometimes it's better to coalesce after a couple of shedding your skin moments so that by the time you're at that level, you could then go to a brand and then possibly work something out that would be more conducive. Pickup card game, you teach this. This is my natural thought process. That seems to be like a better plan. Yes, like get the brand more stabilized and then offer an idea of merchandise.
Pick up.
Yes and no. I would say, Chris, what you want are loyal folks who are going to represent the brand no matter what. So if you have 2 or 4 people, that's great, right? Go with those people and build from there. So I think you can do a small merch drop and like kind of engage the folks like Danny and me and JFK who love this community, right? And get them engaged and try some things out and then do a bigger push down the line. So I would say take that first step, Chris. Trust me, take that first step. It's worth it.
All right. TD, what's up?
Yo, kind of going along the lines of what Danny was saying. I work in advertising and sales and sports journalism here in Athens for the Red and Black. And we post businesses and their clients on the newspapers and our digital forums and stuff like that. So, I mean, anything to like spread the word about hoop spaces at all, man. Because like this is like a real thing that can blow up. Like we can be having like live NBA players, like current NBA players on this, like this is something like I love this, Chris. I come here every morning because I'm so passionate about it, and so many other people here in the spaces are as well. And so anything to spread the word about hoop spaces at all, and advertising and sponsorships, things along those lines, and then merchandising can come after that as well, because it can like kind of reflect off of it, So that's just my 2-piece.
Appreciate it. I could tell you this: the players would be hesitant and reticent to get off of the burner accounts. It's more advantageous burner than on their main account, and a lot's to be said. Active players also have to kind of go through the PR department. The PR department and the social team they get upset if a player goes on a live interview that could have any type of impact on image for the player and for the team. Unfortunately, like Cameron Payne and when KD first found spaces, etc., it's a different type of beast. JF, what's up?
Yeah, Chris. Before I go back on, I just want to say that we're gonna go ahead and return to the summer of Draymond slander. And we're just going back to it because his tweets are atrocious. I mean, why is he even having thoughts of 98 Bulls when he needs to have thoughts of 19 Raptors? You get what I'm saying? Like, he needs to finish his meal first before he can talk about another team. I mean, if we really look at it, Rodman would have shut him down. He would have had 0 rebounds. Ron Harper would have played amazing defense on him. And I don't think anybody would have gotten to the hole with Ron Harper there. And just Jordan and Pippen, I think Draymond would start crying by second quarter if he ever played the 98 Bulls. I just don't think he's mentally there. I think they're mentally tougher back then just because there was no social media. So everything was on the court. So you can't go running and crying to an outlet back in the days. Like, you just had to take it for what it is. And I don't think Draymond is that dude to bottle up everything and go out there and play like that. As we've seen from the finals, we had to wait all the way to one of the last games for him to drop 10 points. So the Draymond slander season is back on in full effect. So I'm here for it. Appreciate you, Chris.
Golly, you are like a dog with a bone. You are not going to get off it. Blue 444. What's up? Welcome to Hoop Spaces. Thanks for finding us. What do you have here for your thoughts on the NBA or WNBA?
I agree with everything that guy just said. Draymond Green is ass. And that's the best point I heard, bro, because a few weeks ago I got kicked out of what I guess was a Warrior space, and they were all pissed at me for saying the exact same thing, and I'm glad I'm not crazy. That guy's terrible. So I'm on your side, Cake.
He's horrible.
Fucking bad.
There you
Throw
go.
him away.
This is bad. It started out as a joke, and he thinks he's being serious. All right, Danny, come on back up in here as we get ready to close it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for popping in and making any part of your Monday part of Hoop Spaces. Thanks. Danny, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chris, for such a wonderful spaces. Thank you for starting the chaos. Draymond Green is a role player, and that he does his job, which is
Not the way he
control the
talks.
offense. Now, he may not be what you want, but I guarantee if he was on your team, you all would be happy with it too. You know, JFK, whoever that was talking about him, Blue 444. I don't know, but you would be happy if he was on your team because he's a director of defense and he's a director of the offense. He knows how to get the ball to the right people. But hey, some people don't like him, some people don't. But hey, it's subjective. Go ahead. Keep it going.
Team
But
defense in Miami.
well, Miami, I guess y'all didn't play that much defense because y'all lost with Kyle Lowry and them BBLs he getting down there in Miami. He need to stay away from it. If y'all want Donovan Mitchell, y'all get him on the BBL game too.
Hey,
So,
Danny,
He's at
all I'm
50%
saying is
right now.
Draymond Green was sat in the fourth quarter in a couple of those games in the finals. He wasn't directing nothing from the bench.
and that is true, and I think that was due to the fact of defense is about energy and effort, and you have to have the energy and effort. And he got to his own head, and it happens to even good players, great players all the time. But it's how you bounce back from that, and he bounced back when he needed to, and that's all that matters. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm ready for that Who Space merch. I'm ready. Just drop something, Chris. And them excuses, all I heard was wonk, 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 wonk. That's all I heard, Chris. That's all I heard.
Okay. I appreciate it. Didn't realize that telling you, my thought process was giving an excuse, but there you go.
I'm trying to get your child's college fund up. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help the boy get to college.
Look, what's really weird is I'm actually not worried about college. I'm worried about like this year. I made the decision early on that I'm willing to pay the college education price in private school because that's how gifted he is. So,
but then
yeah.
we'll work on the private school fund. Get that merch out and get that kid in that private school. Stop playing. Let's go.
Shiecko, good morning. How are you from the land of better weather?
What's going on, guys? Everything's good. Everything's solid. Just wanted to come up and say today's basketball discourse is really good. Keep it up. It's pretty dope. I saw the movie Nope last night. That was a pretty solid watch. They had some Bohemian references and that, how I feel about my country. But outside of that, I just really love the platform that's going on. And I think, Chris, later on, me and you should have a conversation about, helping me or helping us get some more West Indian folks in these kind of spaces because they need this kind of basketball discourse too.
Absolutely. I'm all here for that. But what I will say also is I have yet to see any of Jordan Peele's movies.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Not even Get Out?
I haven't seen Get Out, haven't seen Nope, or the other one. I don't even know.
Go ahead and check that out, Chris, because he's going to go down like the Black West Craven.
Sure. Like, I ain't seen that many Wes Craven movies either. I'm a weird guy, okay? Like, I was born 40 years old. Literally.
Talking about living under a rock.
Yeah, like, the rock is called life. Shit's outside. It's pretty cool. Did you know the James Webb Telescope, the pictures, have you seen them? Like, they're phenomenal. I spent like 3 hours looking at 5 pictures. Thought that was a good spend of my time, man.
Same. Me and my friend who's a high school biology teacher, she was just
super interested in that. She was like, "Do you see they found new galaxies?" And I was like, "It's crazy that me and you are the only nerds."
It's not even that. So they found a planet in the Goldilocks zone, right? And they found, I think, maybe 47 total exoplanets in total within the habitable zone of a star. This planet actually exists, and it seems to be, at least from what they found, to be Earth-like. It's closer because it's a red giant, and they produce heat at a different level, and you can be closer. But like, can you imagine? Okay, if we shifted the orbit of the James Webb Space Telescope to concentrate on what they found, to get a better sense in terms of the energy produced by said solar system, like, we will start being able to possibly use this to find evidence of extraterrestrial life. Like, I give an example, they found a universe and the star within the universe that they believe was here at the time of the formation of everything. That light took over 13 billion years to get here. Like, we are going to have a revolutionary time in the sciences. And yeah, I find that more interesting than Marvel and DC. I'm sorry.
But did you see that new Black Panther trailer?
No.
Dude, that was crazy. That trailer was, oh my goodness.
Still haven't seen. I didn't even know DC was at Comic-Con. Like, I knew Marvel was there.
And that's the point. That's the point. They were mid, as KP said. They were mid.
Right. Shout out to KP, by the way. Doing great things with KP Views. Y'all have to tune in Sundays at 8 p.m. It's a good guy. Check it out. Ryan, if you're there, if you got anything you want to add, you might be at work, but like,
no, you know what? I do have something to add just because it's the perfect timing for this. Since you're asking for feedback from the audience, can I ask the audience what sort of time limit should we put on Chris's science rants? Because I know how everyone feels about his food rants and his food takes. If he starts going on this science stuff and nerding out, should we put like a 30-second, a 60-second thing before everybody's going to start? Because I like literally minimized the room so I could watch the audience numbers. And it went from like 90 to 89 to 88 to 87 to 86, just as he's talking about red giants and all this stuff, until somebody just started talking about, Marvel and Black Panther. And then, okay, then the room stabilized again. So I'm thinking we need to limit Chris's science and nerd outtakes to a certain like time limit each day. So everybody think is 30 seconds too long? Should we give him only 15 seconds a day? I need some feedback on this.
The beginning of the show. The beginning of the show. That's when he should do his takes. That's the best time.
Definitely. I'm personally a fan of the science things. It's just me because I'm kind of a nerd myself. But
Chris knows he can always talk to me about it. I'm a huge nerd too, but he and I can talk about that outside of the show, so nobody else has to hear it and leave.
Y'all are gonna sing a different tune when y'all find out that Neil deGrasse Tyson's a basketball fan and he comes on Hoop Spaces.
Yeah, science spaces. Let's do that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you hear the music, and I'm going to go ahead and take the cue to get out of here before I start getting accosted by such that I can't talk about science. Like, you know what the funniest thing is that I actually was in a conversation over the weekend where I had to use science to explain basketball, right? The question, what does Steph Curry do better than anybody in basketball? The answer is simple. He can manipulate physics in real time better than any player in the NBA. How do you like that? Science and basketball work well together. I want to give a thank you to Hoop Spaces Ryan, without which whom things aren't going to be done, because like he's the driving force of everything on the back end. Check out hoopspaces.com. You'll start seeing some of the changes. Head over to YouTube. We're powered by audiolabs.io. The music's about to go out, so am I. Peace out.